And we are recording.
Meeting, please come to order. Susie, please call the roll.
Commissioner Levine, McLean Hill, Barad, Reyes, and Neiman Brady present.
This proceeding is broadcast on Channel 35. The exact broadcast times can be found by contacting Channel 35. My opening remarks are twofold. One, it is that we were determined to start exactly at 10 o'clock, but we did reasonably well, better than we've been doing, so hopefully this is a trend. And secondly, and more importantly, I want to welcome our newest commissioner, Commissioner Neiman Brady. I'm going to read a very, very brief bio, shortening an extensive and very impressive bio. Commissioner Neiman Brady has over 11 years of experience in energy, water, and agriculture management, and she currently serves as the Chief Operating Officer and Principal of the Renewable Resources Group, where she directs investments and develops opportunities. Prior to joining the Renewable Resources Group, she was president and founder of Edison Water Resources, a subsidiary of Edison International, where she developed water treatment and recycling strategies. She also served in several leadership roles at Southern California Edison, including the role of Director of Energy Procurement. She holds dual Bachelor of Arts degrees in Architecture and Economics from Brown University and an MBA from Harvard Business School. She's certainly overqualified for this position, and we welcome her here. Welcome. And we now have a full complement of commissioners, and we're very excited to move on. With that, we have 10 general public comment cards. City Councilman Koretz wants to say a few words as well, and I'm going to take the liberty of inviting him to speak when he arrives. So, Susie, go ahead and call the people who have public comments to make.
Jack Humperville, followed by Marianne Cook.
Here's a speaker we haven't heard from before.
I have several comments. First of all, welcome, and I appreciate your industry experience. I hope it's put to good use. I think the department can really use some knowledgeable people that have industry knowledge, water and power. So thank you very much for your time. We'll be looking for good things from you, and appreciate your educational background, even if you had to spend a few years in Providence. Sorry.
This is a guy who spent too much time in Cambridge, Massachusetts.
Absolutely. The other thing I want to talk about a little bit is reliability, and I'm going to hit a little bit on that under 8B. But we've been going through the National Reliability Energy Laboratory Study, which is phenomenally complicated. Lots of graphs, lots of information, which is hardly understandable to mere mortals. But one of the problems that I see is the reliability of the system. We're going to be getting rid of the coastal power plants. That wasn't thought through. There's talk about getting rid of the Utah IPP location, which we'll discuss in 8B. So my concern is the reliability of the system. And if the lights go out, we're screwed. So I think that needs to be a real focus of this 2045 100% renewable study. I think the other thing is how much is it going to impact ratepayers. And we've been hearing numbers that it's going to cost $72 billion, which is basically 7 times the existing net plant of the power system. We have 65% debt, so that means this is going to have to be financed through cash rates as opposed to putting it on debt, and that's going to have a huge impact. One of the people indicated that we could be looking at rates that are 2 to 4 times higher than they are today, and that's in real terms, not just inflated terms. So when we're going through this, I think there needs to be a big focus on reliability and the cost to the ratepayers. And I think those are the first two things. The environmental people, which it's a stacked deck at this advisory group. I think I think the Department of Water and Power, especially the engineering people and the financial services people, need to keep a sharp eye on that. Thank you.
Thank you, Jack.
Good morning. My name is Marianne Cook, and I'm here today to ask for your help. What the LADWP is proposing is just not right. I've been involved with the reservoir issues for 30 years as a board member of the Silver Lake Reservoirs Conservancy. We are appalled, shocked, disappointed by what is being proposed. Did you know that the Silver Lake Ivanhoe Reservoir Complex is designated Cultural Historic Monument number 422, and that it is zoned open space, the most restrictive zone? And yet, the LADWP is insisting on a double-wide 3,600 square foot trailer and asphalt parking lot for 30 cars must be installed on what for 25 years was discussed only as being returned to the owners, the people of Los Angeles, for community use, except for what small facilities and staff might be required to safely operate the open water reservoirs. They're doing this because they can flaunt the rules. They totally ignored all of the safeguards that are in place for this violation of cultural historic monument and open space zoning by filing a notice of exemption, and then didn't tell the community until after the challenge period expired. They kept saying that this building was temporary, which means they didn't need to secure city permits. What we were able to learn was that from temporary, this has grown into a regional hub and will be in place for 50 years. Prior to this incident, the community has had an open relationship and good communication with everybody at the LADWP, including Marty Adams. He now runs away when our paths cross because he knows what is proposed is wrong. When it was decided to install this totally inappropriate trailer and parking lot, we were stonewalled at every turn. Even the council offices and the mayor were not helpful and just shrugged their shoulders. Why? A survey of the city determined that the city and LADWP has more than 9,000 holdings in LA, surely a more appropriate location for 30 people who, by the way, have nothing to do with the reservoir operations can be found. Granted, the LADWP has been very generous over the years working with the community to aim toward a more public use and amenities of this precious asset. But the community has also been generous, providing counsel on tricky issues, securing grants, and funding for the community benefit projects. I could go on, but you get the gist. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sarah Ullman, followed by Daniel Gold.
Good morning. My name is Sarah Ullman, and I represent Region 7 on the Silver Lake Neighborhood Council. I am the co-chair of the Reservoir Committee, the appointed LADWP MOU liaison, and a member of the Silver Lake Master Plan Work Group. Suffice to say, I'm invested in and have a great appreciation for the work that you all do here. I took time off of work today to come down and tell you that I oppose the construction of a modular office building at the Silver Lake Reservoir outside the scope of the $2.9 million master plan process. The overwhelming majority of my constituents are also opposed to it. The Silver Lake Neighborhood Council has passed a community impact statement opposing this project. DWP has made little to no effort to solicit community feedback, and when such feedback has been offered, they have been sharply dismissive and defensive. The modular office building and parking lot is for construction managers, not employees working on the reservoir, and DWP has carved out almost 10% of the total site of the master plan. The reservoir is a historic site, but DWP has not made the Cultural Heritage Commission aware of its plans. The land is zoned open space, but of course, there has been no CEQA or traffic study about impact of such an office at the reservoir. Here's my key question. Why is DWP putting years and years of work and millions of dollars into the master plan while simultaneously sidestepping the public and rushing to construct a modular office, a so-called impermanent building that will exist at the site for over 50 years, for up to 50 years? If DWP needs an office at the Silver Lake Reservoir, they should trust the consultants that they hired to design the master plan appropriately and appropriately site the building. Let them do their jobs. My request to you today is to, firstly, agendize this modular office building for future discussion at a meeting. I'm sure our community would appreciate it and would show up to communicate with you. But also to halt the immediate construction of the modular office building. return the land to the master plan process, and charge the master planners with appropriately locating and designing an office building for the DWP. Doing this would allow the community to provide appropriate feedback and fulfill the purpose and mission of DWP's multi-million-dollar master plan process. Thank you.
Thank you.
Board of Commissioners, General Manager Adams, good morning. My name is Daniel Gold, and I'm an electrician and native Angelino who specializes in the installation of solar panels and electric vehicle chargers. I first appeared before you approximately 5 weeks ago to let you know about the significant delays that are occurring in the issuing of payments for EV charger rebates. I am sorry to report that these issues have not yet been resolved. We are still experiencing timeframes of roughly 4 to 5 months to receive these rebates. However, rebates we submit for the solar program typically take 10 to 15 days to process. I would like to suggest that the EV rebate group use the same system that the solar rebate group uses to process rebates. Thank you for your time, and if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer any.
Have you been in touch with any of our staff on this?
Yeah, their communication has been really good.
Okay. Thank you.
Sure.
Jasmine Vargas, followed by Ethan Sensor.
Good morning, esteemed commissioners. Good morning, General Manager Marty Adams. I'm here today as representative of Food and Water Action, Food and Water Watch. My name is Jasmine Vargas. I am a senior organizer, and we are here today to speak on our opposition of any natural gas plant at the IPP, Intermountain Power Plant site, that's supposed to replace the coal plant that has been feeding LA's energy needs for the last 50 years. I was part of the fight to get rid of the coal plant back in 2010, 2011, up until 2015 when we got the announcement that we were going to phase out of coal. The same reasons we did that is why we shouldn't be building dirty gas today. And so there are going to be some alternatives, some renewable alternatives, some clean energy alternatives that will be presented to you by the general manager and others. And I want to I want to ask you to take those extremely seriously, because we're in a climate and ecological crisis right now. We're in emergency mode. We don't come to Board of Commissioners meetings just because it's fun, but because we have to raise our voices and show up when things matter. And right now, this is what matters the most. This is what should be the priority. Right now, world leaders are in Spain negotiating the 25th year of the Conference of Parties, the Climate Summit, which we've been talking about for 25 years, which is over half of my life. So I want to just bring that to the forefront of your head as you're making these decisions on whether or not to double down on dirty fossil fuels, as we are committing to transition to 100% renewable clean energy. Also, we need to do that by 2030, which is 10 years from now. So hopefully you listen to us today. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello. Hello, thank you for having me here. My name is Ethan Sensor. I'm also with Food and Water Action. I'm also the DWP advocacy rep for Mid-City Neighborhood Council. And we've been speaking with neighborhood councils about the 100% renewable study. And what we found is that communities and neighborhood councils especially are really hungry to engage on this issue. I have a packet of CIS statements here, all of which are asking for LADWP to consider an 100% clean renewable energy scenario by 2030, which excludes biogas, biomass, nuclear, and renewable energy credits, real clean renewable energy. They're also asking for greater community engagement around the study, which we think needs a robust public engagement process, especially without an SLTRP this year. We need that something along those lines of public engagement really is necessary, and something that the public is demanding. Climate change is the #1 issue for California voters at the moment. We're in a crisis. But the truth is that for most of the neighborhood council members that I speak to, it's very hard for them to come here. Most don't even know this meeting exists. And we've got 2 neighborhood council members here today who are going to speak about why they passed the CIS statement. But these are CIS statements from over a third of all neighborhood councils in the city right here, all expressing those general sentiments of wanting more public engagement. I just want to read some of the names of neighborhood councils which have passed the CIS statement. Pico Neighborhood Council, Harbor Gateway North Neighborhood Council, Northridge South Neighborhood Council, Studio City Neighborhood Council, Historic Cultural Neighborhood Council, Historic Cultural North Neighborhood Council, Olympic Park Neighborhood Council, Eagle Rock Neighborhood Council, Silver Lake Neighborhood Council, West Side Neighborhood Council, NoHo Neighborhood Council, North Hollywood West Neighborhood Council, North Hollywood Northeast Neighborhood Council, Porter Ranch Neighborhood Council, Empowerment Congress North Neighborhood Council, LA 32 Neighborhood Council, Herman Neighborhood Council, Rampart Village Neighborhood Council, Boyle Heights Neighborhood Council, Encino Neighborhood Council, Greater Echo Park Elysian Neighborhood Council, Northwest San Pedro Neighborhood Council, Glassell Park Neighborhood Council, Empowerment Congress West Neighborhood Council, Atwater Village Neighborhood Council, Greater Cypress Park Neighborhood Council, Wilshire Center Koreatown Neighborhood Council, Coastal San Pedro Neighborhood Council, Foothill Trails Neighborhood Council, Central Hollywood Neighborhood Council, West Adams Neighborhood Council, United Neighborhoods Neighborhood Council, Arroyo Seco Neighborhood Council, Mar Vista Neighborhood Council, Greater Valley Glen Neighborhood Council, Mid-City Neighborhood Council, and also these neighborhood councils have passed the CIS but not officially submitted it yet. Van Nuys Neighborhood Council, Panorama City Neighborhood Council, MacArthur Park Neighborhood Council, Pico Union Neighborhood Council, Westlake North Neighborhood Council, Historic Highland Park Neighborhood Council, Central San Pedro Neighborhood Council, Harbor City Neighborhood Council, Watts Neighborhood Council, Harbor Gateway South Neighborhood Council, Empowerment Congress Southeast Neighborhood Council, Palms Neighborhood Council, West LA Neighborhood Council, and Northridge South Neighborhood Council. So communities are ready to engage on this. We are ready to engage on this with you. We want to help. These answers are in the community already, and we know that by working together, we can find how we can transition to 100% by 2030. So thank you.
Thank you. I'm going to take the liberty of inviting Council Member Koretz to deliver his public comments, and then we'll return to the list of other public speakers. Welcome, Councilman.
Well, thank you for hearing me today, Mr. Chair and members. I've had a long roller coaster ride of a relationship with the Intermountain Power Project, starting in 2009 when I became the first council member to call for LA to move beyond coal. Then later when Alton Coal began planning on sourcing its coal right next to the beautiful Bryce National Park. And then again in 2013 when we took the thrilling step to commit to ending coal at IPP 2 years early by 2025 instead of 2027. Then the day that still gives me heartburn whenever I think about it, a very concerning vote in 2015 that I frankly felt forced to take by DWP staff to approve repowering IPP as a gas plant in 2025. I was even more troubled to read what I had long suspected in the LA Times this past July, and to quote directly from the story, what's more, half a dozen power grid experts interviewed by the LA Times disputed DWP's claim that it needs a gas plant to move renewable energy over the transmission line. And now, again today, I'm in disbelief at how long it has taken for Commissioner Reyes' request to hear an update on the repowering of IPP. Months and months is not transparent and is not acceptable. 2025 will be the 20th anniversary of Hurricane Katrina, the storm that really raised the specter for the first time about how bad climate-exacerbated storms would become in a global warming future. In 2025, we'll be 10 years into the Paris Accord, and we'll be 9 years beyond the Thomas and Tubbs fires, which launched us into a new crazy year-round wildfire world, and 9 years beyond Hurricane Maria, which essentially destroyed Puerto Rico. We'll be 6 years past the accelerated burning of the Amazon rainforest, and will be 4 years past day zero, the day water is expected to run out in a dozen or so cities in Australia. And who knows how many other climate-exacerbated disasters we'll know about or be recovering from by then. Will projected food shortages have begun? How many people will we have lost? How many climate refugees will there be? And at what staggering financial cost? Worse yet, all these devastating climate impacts will be 10 years further on. 10 years even worse from the day we grudgingly approved repowering IPP as a gas plant. In 2015, I asked and practically begged DWP staff to hold off as long as possible on committing to an energy source for repowering IPP. Then DWP General Manager Marcy Edwards promised me that. David Wright told me that DWP was closing in on some viable solutions and the power module could be added last. And now, only a couple months after we approved the record-setting cheapest solar and battery energy storage project in the country, Marty Adams is talking seriously about renewable hydrogen. I couldn't be more excited about that. But within my cautious optimism is the reason I'm here. As a global community, we don't have the luxury of half steps anymore. The United Nations says we have less than 10 years to reduce our greenhouse gas emissions by half. The technology is viable and improving and getting cheaper every single day. I know today's IPP report is not an action item, but I ask the commissioners to show the leadership that is required in difficult times. I'm here to ask department leadership and hardworking staff to make a strong final decision to do away with natural gas and fossil fuels altogether and do what it takes to get us to the clean energy future we desperately need. Now, if we do it, others will follow. As we see with so many countless other issues, what happens in Los Angeles doesn't stay in Los Angeles. It echoes. If we build a gas plant, other utilities will use that as an excuse to go ahead with their own. But the most important part, if Los Angeles and its brilliant DWP engineers set out to prove we can accomplish this, not only by doing what's possible, but by doing what's necessary to meet the climate crisis, we will do our part as the City of Angels in inspiring hope and hard work and rapid climate action around the country and around the world. That's what we need, and that's what I ask you for, and that's what I'm committing to fighting for 100%. We need to accomplish it in a way that is open and transparent and accountable to all our ratepayers and stakeholders and neighborhood council members. Thank you for being here, especially the ones like me most concerned about severe climate disruption and the future of our planet. Thank you very much for hearing me.
Thank you very much, Paul. Susie, go ahead with the remaining public speakers.
Amanda Patoya and Michael Hyland.
Hello, good morning. My name is Amanda Pantoja, and I work with Food and Water Watch, Food and Water Action, and I'm also a resident of Huntington Park, California. And I'm here to ask the Board of Commissioners to consider not powering our city with fossil fuels. We're seeing study after study and research after research in the coming days about how our climate crisis is getting worse, particularly in California. The science is there, but you know what we need now? We need ambitious, powerful actions. Doing so would improve our city's safety and health. I believe that we can lead, LA can lead on renewable energy. As Ethan mentioned, there's a very long list of communities that are ready to support this department's work towards clean energy future. So many of us are ready to take charge. So I just ask the commissioners to listen and take action with us. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, good morning. My name is Michael Highland. I'm on the Glassell Park Neighborhood Council, and we voted unanimously to support Food and Water Action's letter to the mayor asking for 100% clean energy by 2030. We voted unanimously because Ethan came out and spoke to us and showed us how possible this was to accomplish. So I would ask that in 2020 that some resources be set aside to come out to the neighborhood councils and galvanize our communities around this issue, because I think people are really excited and ready to join up. Thanks.
Thank you.
Brian Ogden, followed by Sylvia Ramirez.
Good morning. My name is Brian Soldega, and I sit on the Harbor Gateway South Neighborhood Council, which represents about 20,000 people, and I just became the new chair of our Sustainability Committee. I was proud on my first day as a board member to vote to approve the CIS, to push Los Angeles to have 100% clean renewable energy by 2030 unanimously with my fellow council members, because I recognize this issue as not only an issue to reverse climate change, but also an environmental justice issue. My neighborhood is predominantly communities of color, and the area that I represent is predominantly low income. And as a result of where we live within the harbor area, we are disproportionately exposed to pollution from diesel trucks that drive in and out of our neighborhoods. We're also exposed to the pollution spewed in the air by oil drilling. We have a large youth population, so we have a lot of children growing up every single day inhaling these toxins and increasing their risk for respiratory problems, like my sister, who developed bronchial issues at a young age. As Angelinos, we are in a unique position to do something about this situation, because our city has more resources than many other cities, and we have led on many other major issues in the past before. It's time that we lead again now on this issue that affects not just our city, but the world overall. And due to the consequences of environmental injustice and climate change in our communities, and the support that this CIS has garnered from many neighborhood councils throughout LA, such as mine, it is imperative that we keep this process open so that to the public, so that we can all continue being engaged in the process. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Good morning. I'm back. I've been coming here again. I'm going to explain myself again. I've been coming here since October the 8th to these meetings. I'm not representing no company, no business. It's my house. I just got my property 6 months ago through my divorce, and it's a huge bill on the property that they want me to pay for. I never signed a contract with Water and Power. That bill is not under my name. And I cannot get my water back or my electricity back unless I have to pay thousands of dollars. The last time I was here, Ms. Carson told me that she was going to help me. She got my information. She said she was calling me back. And I told her, whatever I need to do to get my services back, please send it to me in writing. So she sent me in writing this. She said that I need to pay the water bill, which is $7,479, plus $254 for security unit installed water meter, $5,000 deposit, $70 connection fee, $205 for the unit, little house that I have in the back that is not rent because I have no services. In my house, $205 too. It's almost $8,000 that I need to pay, plus $5,000. I can't do that. I'm a low-income parent. I can't. I didn't even have my Thanksgiving dinner with my family because I don't have no water or electricity. I've been coming here since October the 8th because I need help. I cannot make this payment. I told Ms. Carson I'm willing to get a loan to pay the water meter, the water, like you said, in the connections fees, but I cannot pay the $5,000. I'm tired of coming over here and I don't have no results. Then Christmas is coming. I want to have my family in my house. In order for me to get my people, my family in my house, I need to pay these thousands of dollars. I have health issues. I'm going to have a procedure on Saturday again, and I don't have services in my property. Who should I need to talk to? Who's going to help me? I don't receive no phone calls from nobody. That was one phone call that I received in this letter, and that's it. I made a phone call 3 days ago. I left a message. Nobody called me back. I talked to Ms. Castañeda, the lady that sent me this letter, and I explained to her, I don't have that much money. I have just a part-time job. I didn't make this. This is not my fault that water and power let the bill to go so high. If you don't pay your services, if you don't pay your internet, they cut your services off. They let the bill to go that high, and now they want me to be responsible for that. I just got my property 6 months ago. I left the house in 2007. I have my legal separation paper that I left the house in 2007. Just got my property 6 months ago. I want to live in my property. I want to go back to my property, and I can't. I'm still staying with relative members.
Marty, is there someone else you can speak with today?
Yes, I know we've had a couple people that have talked to her, and I think there's a briefing for the board that we've passed out, and we can discuss it further in closed session if you like. But I'll see who else in customer services may be able to assist as well.
Okay.
But we have been in contact.
So just wait.
I'll need to brief the board and let them know the details, yes.
Okay, and I'll be back to the next meeting if nothing is being done. Thank you.
That closes public comment.
Okay. General Manager?
Thank you. So just a few quick items to report. First of all, I would like to welcome and recognize our new Chief Administrative Officer, Linda Lee. This is her first board meeting with us, so I'd like to congratulate her in her new role. She was my top administrator in the water system years ago, and then she became my retirement plan manager. She has a very strong background and has very strong leadership skills, and is a great problem solver. And so we're all excited to have Linda in this role, and I'm sure she's going to do some very positive
Did she
things.
do this and retirement board at the same time?
Currently, yes.
That wasn't the answer I was looking for.
Sorry. Well, currently, yes, but she will be replacing herself as the retirement plan manager. So, and then the other two things, Rich and Andy have some good news we'd like to share. I'll start with Andy. Go ahead.
Thank you, Marty. So on October 18th of 2019, we sent teams to Kansas City to compete in the International Linemen's Rodeo. So we have teams that did very well. We'll ask them to come up. And while they're coming up, we have a short video. If Reggie could start that.
Snow and rain and bright sunshine.
So we have with us here today Mr. Thomas Crevier, Chris Hitt, Justin Carpenter. So out of 248 journey level teams that competed, they took first overall for municipalities. There were 33 municipality teams and 16th overall for the whole competition. Not with us today is David Engel. He was the apprentice you saw do the Hurtman rescue. He did that in 54 seconds. I don't think I ever climbed a pole, just climbed a pole that fast, even shorter than that. So, you know, I wish I was as smooth as these guys, but I don't think I ever had a day that I was that good, which is why I'm here now up here and not standing before you there. But, you know, we're very proud. We sent 4 journeyman teams. We sent 4 trainees to this rodeo, and all of them, as well as, you know, competing and winning. Most importantly, they had fun. They represented the department in the best way. And I'm proud to have been there with them. I'm proud to have them work into the power system. Again, I wish I was half as good as they are. But so the trainees, there were 44 trainees in the municipal arena and 321 trainees overall for apprentices. And David Engel finished second for the municipality and 6th overall. Out of 321. So, you know, I'm proud of these guys. You know, we've, you know, been through a lot here in the last couple years with everything that's going on. You know, we'll be doing the wildfire presentation here. And the reality is these guys could have left us. And in that video, you saw them in a picture with a team that won for contractors. And those 3 guys that won first place overall for contractors were water and power trained. They went through our apprenticeship. They left us to chase other options. These guys stayed. And I'm proud of them for that. I'm grateful for that. They set a great example for all of us, for the trainees that are coming behind them. And, you know, they'll continue to go. We'll be in our rodeo here next April, so I will let you guys know when that is. I know Jeff Caravu and I have contemplated competing in the senior division.
Well, we want to see that.
But I don't know that if I can get a wheelchair up the pole. So, but again, these guys have done well. They've competed in other rodeos besides the international. Our rodeo, they won. They've been to San Diego and multiple different rodeos and have done and excelled in every one of them. And so, there are. What makes Water and Power great, such a great company.
We are exceptionally proud of you guys, and also just to underscore, we're exceptionally proud that you've stayed, and we expect to be seeing you here year after year after year, and you really do us proud. Congratulations.
Congratulations. Where does that trophy go?
He gets a trophy, yeah.
That's the beauty. I don't have to win anymore. I still get the trophy. We display those at our training facility. So we have ones from all the different years where our teams have gone. And so we'll be happy to take any of you out there. And I know Commissioner Hill wants to climb a pole, so I will go out and climb a pole with her.
There you go.
And Andy, we're hosting the national
in 2021, we're going to be hosting the American Public Power Association Rodeo.
Where will it be held?
It will be held at our training facility in Truesdale out in Sun Valley. And so we're excited about that this last year. It will be in Kansas in April of next year, and then here. It's one that moves every year. This year it was in Colorado Springs. So we're excited about that, hosting that. They'll have the Line Workers Rodeo and the Engineering and Operations Conference at the same time. So,
And in April, they have a chance, if you come to our local rodeo, we have a training facility just like the ones in the video with all the poles. You'll have whole rows of poles with dummies to rescue in the top and people wiring and laying sideways in the air and all sorts of things. So we have a facility just like that. That's how we train our own staff.
yeah, so if they won't let me compete, they offered to let me be one of the rescue dummies. So I may take them up on that.
Okay, thanks, Andy. Rich, you have a couple of great awards.
I do. I got one short thing. Just a reminder, January 13th through 24th, our Los Angeles Aqueduct filtration plant will be shut down, so it'll be drained. It's a great opportunity to actually walk within the bowels of the filter plant, if you will. And so through Susie, we'll get you those dates and arrange a time that you can come out and get a tour of that. But what I really want to do is I'm going to have Art Castro and his team from the Tujunga Spreading Grounds project come up. We were recently recognized for the Tujunga Spreading Grounds Enhancement Project at the Western Council of Construction Consumers 2019 Owners Project Excellence Awards. The Council's award program recognizes continuous improvement and excellence in the engineering, design, and construction of quality, cost-effective, innovative, and sustainable construction projects. And whereas we can't compete with our cousins in the power system on the size of their awards, we're going to make up for it in volume because the project won the Exceptional Project Achievement Award, which is the Council's third highest honor in the infrastructure renovation category. And they also won the Innovative Project Solutions Award given to projects where new, unique, or innovative construction solutions were implemented. And this one's a beast here, and it also has a moving part here. The world turns. It's the Sustainable Excellence Award given to projects that achieve high sustainability requirements, took creative sustainability approaches, and achieved significant energy savings. So I want Art to introduce the team and tell you just a brief explanation of the project itself.
Rich. Again, Art Castro with the Water Resources Division. So I'm going to give you guys a little bit of the highlights for this project. This is a multi-beneficial project that aims to increase stormwater capture capacity through groundwater replenishment and improve the environment and provide social equity for additional community green space. The project helps to meet LADWP's city's sustainable city plan with a goal of capturing 150,000 acre-feet by the year 2035. The project doubled the capacity of 8,000 acre-feet to 16,000 acre-feet, and that was through a combination of deepening and expanding the basins themselves. That capacity, we actually excavated 150,000 cubic yards of soil. That's equivalent to 120,000 truck trips. So if you could imagine the impacts to the community, we really mitigated those impacts. Again, this project is going to deliver 5 billion gallons to the local water supply community, and that's enough to sustain 48,000 homes in the city of LA. So with that said, I'd like to congratulate, and recognize the team members who were present here. When I call your name, please raise your hand. Johanna Chang, Stephen Kuo, Jim Neff, Samantha Yu, and Greg Barnes. Thank you.
Congratulations. Congratulations. Very wonderful work. Well, those are good reports.
That
Marty.
concludes my report.
Tough to
my
follow
best
those
ever.
acts. Okay, well, we move to comments from commissioners on agendized items and requests from commissioners relating to departmental operations. Whoever wants to try to follow those, I will call on you. Commissioner Barat.
Thank you. Oops. I don't have a trophy for your mantle, but I'll work on it. I want to bring back something that we've talked about for a couple of years, and that is the budget, bucket brigade. And we had a very successful kickoff at the Walter Reed Middle School a couple years ago. And now I think it's time that we look at other schools. It's my understanding that the city council person from the North Valley, Nori Martinez, has schools already in mind, and we've got about 6 schools in Lake Balboa ready. So we have schools in different parts of the city that are ready to kick off the bucket brigade, and I would like to request that we have a timetable. How many schools are on our agenda and where are they located? Because this is something that is water conservation, and it's something that we need to really work with our students in the Los Angeles School District to get them, in kind of a mindset as to how to recycle water and not to waste it and to use these buckets. And we also have the neighborhood councils ready to partner with the schools. So that's my request, that we have a timetable, how many schools and where they're located, to have more bucket brigades in the city. Thank you.
Thank you.
I do have some questions related to agenda items 12, 16, and 19.
Well, let's wait till we hit those agenda items, and then you can ask your questions to each of them at that time.
Excellent.
Yes.
I would just like to put back on the front burner a request for a briefing on the department staffing plan. I know that we are looking at new real estate acquisitions, leases, and things of that nature. And several months back, as you will recall, I had a significant interest in what our overall stacking for this building was, and timing for some of the work and renovations that are being done. I know quite a few things have changed, and I'm just curious as to where those things stand and what the plans are moving forward, and also what the communications plan internally is around that as well.
Perfect timing. By next meeting, we'll have got all those pieces in place.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
It's always good to ask for something exactly as Marty's prepared to provide it. Any other? Yes.
Well, since this is our last meeting of the year, I want to wish everyone happy holidays. And that remember, safety is number one at work and at home. And also as a reminder to donate to our SHARE project during the holidays. So I suggest, Marty, if you can issue a GM reminder to all our employees and customers about this opportunity to donate and help our customers in most need of assistance during the holidays. I would appreciate that. And can I have my 3 wishes for the new year? Number 1, that DWP continue to advance towards 100% clean energy future. Second, that contracts come to the board in a timely notice with enough advance notice. And that equity and inclusion principles be part of the fabric of our operations, policies, and programs. So those are my 3 wishes for the incoming year. Thank you.
Very welcome wishes. Okay, ratepayer advocate.
I'll have brief comments on the management presentations and other items as they arise.
Okay. Susie, discussion with neighborhood council representatives on any neighborhood council resolution or community impact statement filed with the city clerk which relate to any agenda item listed or being considered on this agenda for the Water and Power Board.
We have a community impact statement from the following neighborhood council: Los Feliz Neighborhood Council, and 1 speaker, Tom Pike.
Okay. Welcome.
Thank you.
Hello, Tom Pike with the Los Feliz Neighborhood Council. I want to start by thanking you for your recent leadership on Elon Solar, and the Los Feliz Neighborhood Council is also delighted that this board passed a residential demand response program last month, and to hear that the pilot program will eventually be expanded beyond smart thermostats. I'm here today to speak about renewable energy at Intermountain. Since I last spoke before you, our letter calling for a carbon-free facility at Intermountain has received several new signatories, including the Central Hollywood Neighborhood Council, North Hollywood Neighborhood Council, 2 more community groups in Utah. Signatories now include the Neighborhood Council Sustainability Alliance, 7 neighborhood councils, 2 national grassroots organizations, 11 community organizations in Los Angeles, 1 in Glendale, and a further 12 in Utah. Individual signatories include a former LADWP commissioner, the elected Glendale city clerk, and 2 members of the Mayor's Youth Council on Climate Change. And of course, we heard from Councilmember Paul Koretz earlier today. At a board meeting last month, we asked for a 100% renewable facility at Intermountain, and we were told at that time by General Manager Adams that a 100% green hydrogen mix from day 1 in 2025 was in fact possible. Our coalition then met with the mayor's infrastructure and sustainability staff, who confirmed that their office also wants this facility to operate on 100% green hydrogen, renewables, and clean energy storage from the first day it opens in 2025. I have heard a rumor that at a meeting on Saturday, an LADWP staffer signaled that he intended to present a report today that would simply ignore our broad coalition's demands, calling our coalition, quote, well-intentioned but misinformed, end quote. I would like to know what he meant by misinformed. Our information on climate change comes from the United Nations IPCC reports, which aggregate more than 6,000 climate change studies, and our information on what's feasible comes from LADWP General Manager Marty Adams. So when we call for the Intermountain site to operate with no fossil fuels from day 1 in 2025, please understand that we are simply repeating the dire warnings of climate scientists and the bold vision of other members of your own staff. We are also repeating the policy vision of the mayor and the demands of the public. I would ask that you hold your staff accountable. As we saw in that video today, you have some incredible engineers and electricians. They're capable of rising to this challenge. Demand they follow through on a bold vision to use 100% green hydrogen and renewables at Intermountain from day 1. They've already told us they have the means and the talent. They just need the vision from the top. So now I'd like to ask, will you commit to asking tough questions of your staff today in the event that they tell you they cannot do what just last month they told us they could do?
We generally don't engage in back and forth during comment periods, but we certainly hear what you have to say.
Okay, thank you very much. And in closing, I would like to note that the only reason this neighborhood council did not sign the 100% CIS that Food and Water Action wrote is because we actually passed one calling for 100% sooner than 2030. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
President Levant, I didn't catch his name or where he was from, what organization he represented.
Tom Pike from Los Feliz Neighborhood Council.
Okay, thank you.
This is the time in the agenda where we determine which items can be approved on consent. Commissioner Neiman Brady has questions on items 12 and 16 and 19, so they will not be eligible for consent, and they'll be heard, or at least the questions will be heard. Do any commissioners wish to remove any other item between item 11 and item 24 from a consent calendar? Commissioner Barat.
Thank you. Items 13, 14.
Wait. 13,
yes.
14.
17.
Wait. 17.
And 24.
And 24. Okay. Do any other commissioners wish to remove any other items? Okay, so that leaves for the consent calendar items 11, 15, 18, 20, 21, 22, and 23. Is there a motion to approve those?
So moved.
Second, those in favor?
Aye.
Those are all approved, and we will hear the other items as we get to them after we hear the monthly reports, the management reports. And from that, we will go to the management reports. We'll start with 8A, which is the wildfire plan.
Oh, okay, it's a presentation. Thank you.
Yes.
Today we have to present to you the wildfire plan, which is a requirement of the state that will be detailed how that works in the state law in just a moment. This is, the board does not have to take an action to adopt this, but you need to be officially informed of it before we submit it to the state. Brian Wilbur and Simon Zuto will do the report. Before they speak, though, I'd like to invite Battalion Chief Perez from the LA Fire Department, who is, the fire department has been a close partner of ours in all our wildfire efforts. And Chief, if you'd like to say a few comments, I appreciate you being here this morning. I know it's hard to get away from the regular duties, so thank you for waiting this long to speak to us.
Thank you, sir, and thank you, everyone. Good morning. My name is David Perez. I am a battalion chief in the Los Angeles Fire Department, commander of the fire department's planning section, a part of the office of Chief Terrazas. Chief Terrazas expresses his regrets that he couldn't be here today. I do know that before I get started, that video that you showed of the lineman's rodeo, he would have been very impressed by that. I know I am. It goes to show how much you have to be proud of in your employees in this department. It also goes to confirm that I made the correct decision joining the fire department. The plan that you're about to be briefed on is not one that was created in a vacuum. DWP reached out to the fire department early on and asked for our input, and we've been able to provide that, and they've taken our input and incorporated it into the plan. There are a few things that we are already doing, working with your department. Recently, we added a DWP representative to our conference call whenever we go into red flag mode, and we have those discussions typically 18 to 24 hours before a red flag condition appears. DWP has not been part of that conversation before. Now, because they are on the call, you have up to 24 hours advance warning to deploy your resources better and more efficiently when we go into a red flag mode. You don't have to wait for that anymore. Additionally, our Wildland Fuels Management Unit, which is the unit that maintains all of our bulldozers, is working now with your heavy equipment people to look for ways to create some synergy in how we operate our dozers so that we can actually accomplish both our missions of keeping the fire roads open and also clearing right-of-way under your high-tension lines. So we are working together. The fire chief absolutely is committed to continuing to do so, and we support this plan as you're about to hear it. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. And we deeply appreciate the cooperation from the fire department, and thank you for taking the time to come up and say a few words.
Thank you.
Gentlemen.
Okay. Good morning, Commissioners. Simon Zodu, Director of Regulatory Compliance and Specification for Power System. Over the past 3 years, the topic of wildfire has been has gained a lot of interest and attention in California. And wildfire season in the West is averaging around 7 to 8 months per year, which is unfortunately the new normal. And more importantly, the frequency, the severity, and the intensity of the wildfires has impacted a lot of communities, lives of citizens, and local economies. So the recent increase, I think I would like to discuss about this on this slide. The recent increase in the wildfire risk has primarily been attributed to climate change, and other factors such as the recent California drought, the increase and the abundance of fuel out there with dead wood, dead trees, and then factors like wildland and urban interface, and due to human development. So, as shown on the right of this slide, this slide comes from the California Department of Forestry and Fire Protection, also known as CAL FIRE. You can see that the amount of acreage that's been burned over the last 10 years has increased significantly. And some of a good number of our most destructive fires in California took place over the past 2 to 3 years. So in response to that, state of California has been taking steps to significantly reduce the impact of wildfire risk. And in 2018, the state enacted Senate Bill 901. Senate Bill 901 specifically instructed the municipal utilities to present a wildfire mitigation plan to the governing board prior to January 1st of 2020. That's what we're doing today. and to also construct, operate, and maintain the equipment and lines in the electrical service in a manner to reduce wildfire risk. And lastly, to perform an independent evaluation of the plan by hiring a third party. We have done that as well. So this presentation in general is to give you an overview of DWP's mitigation strategies and programs, specifically intended to, with the understanding of the unique characteristics of the DWP's service territory, such as its geography, wildfire risks, and infrastructure. Another bill that was introduced this year was Assembly Bill 1054, which is very important. The bill established the California Wildfire Advisory Board. It's a 7-member board. Governor Newsom, at the end of October, appointed 5 of the members for that board. One of the members is ex-LADWP General Manager Marcy Edwards. So we'll be working with the board in the future. Secondly, all public-owned utilities were required to submit a copy of the wildfire mitigation plan by July 1st of 2020 to the board for comments and advisory opinion. And also the bill requires public-owned utilities to comprehensively revise their plan every 3 years.
Excuse me, do you think that that's enough? Is that often enough to have revisions every 3 years?
No, the revisions will be done on an ongoing basis. This is a living document, but from a requirement point of view, the requirement is to do it every 3 years, but we are planning to update our plan on a regular basis and present it to the board in a regular fashion.
What is regular basis?
At least once per year, we have to present it to our board, but we'll keep on updating our plan as needed.
So you won't go beyond 3 years?
No.
Official filing will be 3 years.
Official is 3 years, but you would?
We will do it more frequently.
Yes.
Yes.
Based on what's been happening? Yeah.
Absolutely, yes.
Okay.
Okay, the next map is very important. About 2 years ago, the California Public Utilities Commission worked with CAL FIRE, some public safety experts, and utilities across California, including LADWP, to create this high fire threat district map. The map was adopted in 2018, and it identifies the highest likelihood of wildfire impacting people and properties across the state, and what additional actions should be taken necessary to reduce this wildfire risk. You would notice that some areas are shaded in red and some are shaded in orange. Red areas are designated as Tier 3. These are known as extreme risk for wildfire. And in these areas have the highest likelihood of initiation of fire, and the most restrictive utility practices are supposed to be practiced. And Tier 2 areas, orange areas, are designated as Tier 2, or with elevated risk for wildfires. In these areas, utilities are supposed to have some kind of enhanced activity to reduce wildfire risk. Coming closer to home, to our service territory within the city limits, this map shows the Tier 3 areas within the city of Los Angeles. As you can tell, very limited areas within the northern fringes of the city fall under Tier 3. These are the northern portions of the communities of Chatsworth, Granada Hills, Sylmar, and some parts of Sunland fall in this category. The next map shows strictly about Tier 2 or elevated risk areas within the city of Los Angeles. The span from the Santa Monica Mountains in the west, from Pacific Palisades to Studio City, the northeast around the Verdugo Mountains, Foothill Trails area, and parts of East Los Angeles, including Arroyo Seco area. As the fire chief mentioned earlier, the Los Angeles Fire Department does have a policy for prevention of wildfires and fire-related catastrophes within the city. This is a map that's developed by the LA Fire Department, and It's actually not used for, was not established for fire, wildfire associated with utilities, but for fire prevention, public safety, and evacuation during fire events. And as you can see, the map very much is consistent with the state's Tier 2 and Tier 3 maps. One will notice that the fire department's map covers slightly more areas than the Tier 2 and Tier 3 areas. In fact, CPUC's Tier 2 and Tier 3 areas make up around 92% of the fire department maps. It covers, in its exclusivity without the Tier 2 and Tier 3 areas, it covers some areas of Woodland Hills, the Tarzana and Encino neighborhoods, particularly for brush clearance zones. And we combined all these three maps together, the Tier 2, Tier 3, and the LA Fire Department map, as we were developing our wildfire mitigation plan. So our wildfire mitigation plan applies to all three. We go above and beyond the state's minimum requirement. The following map shows our second service territory, the Owens Valley. The Owens Valley territory is located in East Central California, and between the Sierra Nevada mountains on the west and the Inyo Mountain Wilderness area in the east. South to north, it spans from the town of Hayway in the south, to the north to the town of Big Pine, along US Highway 395. The Owens Valley service territory has only Tier 2 areas. There are no Tier 3 areas in Owens Valley, and the Tier 2 areas are shown towards the west side of the service territory. About 17.5% of our service territory there is under Tier 2. The last map here is our transmission lines. We have looked at the state of California's map and where our transmission responsibilities lie. This covers all Tier 2 and Tier 3 areas outside our service territory. To deliver energy from our generating plants to our customers, we do have a vast network of transmission lines. Transmission lines on this map are shown in blue lines. The one that you see coming north to south is the Pacific DC Intertie. It goes through some Tier 2 and Tier 3 areas. And from the east, we have two networks coming in, the Southern Transmission Line coming in from Utah, and then we do have some transmission network coming in from the Hoover Dam area. So what are the objectives of the plan? This plan was developed to be consistent with state law, the provisions of Senate Bill 901, recognizing that there is a need for collaborative effort. It calls for a higher level of collaboration with the Los Angeles Fire Department and other fire agencies, better collaboration between power and water systems, strengthening our mutual assistance programs, and with collaboration with the California Utilities Emergency Association. Also, to take measures to reduce the probability that our distribution and transmission systems become the source of any ignition in the future. That will help us ensure public safety, and that's the major objective of this plan. We will also want to, as an objective, improve our infrastructure, develop better partnerships and exploring new technologies, and continuously upgrading and updating our plan, all geared towards reduction of wildfire risk. Talking about risk, we have identified some of our risk drivers and their corresponding potential consequences. On the left-hand side, you see the listing of our risk drivers that we have identified and the possible consequences on the right. If I may discuss some of the risk drivers that we have identified, human activity being one of the first ones. These are human-caused fires. It can result from unattended campfires, burning of debris, vehicular accidents, equipment malfunctions, simple as discarded cigarettes, or even intentional acts of arson fall in this category. High wind event, even though it's uncontrollable, but it does accelerate fires, and it's actually makes fire suppression very difficult. We have vegetation contact. We have a very good program to tackle that. This refers to palm tree fronds and tree limbs that may make contact with our conductors and start ignition. Conductor failure in the industry, it's called the wire down scenario, where a conductor might fail and make contact with the ground and start a spark and ignition. Conductor slap, it's in a high wind event. During a high wind event, we can have two conductors touch each other or slap against each other, creating a spark that may result in ignition. Hardware failure refers to all line equipment that may fail, such as poles and insulators and transformers. Aging infrastructure, this is a very broad subject. We cover it within our power system reliability program, but this is very important. That's how we track everything that we do in the system. Wildlife contact is another area. And last but not least, mylar balloons and metallic balloons are a serious issue, and they do contribute to as a major risk factor. On the possible consequences, a service interruption being the first one.
Yes, go ahead.
No, absolutely. I'm sorry.
I'm just curious, has there been any discussion about mylar balloons and regulation of them?
Yes, we've had a lot of discussions on mylar balloons, and we're following some of the legislative, activities that are going on in Sacramento to see what type of regulation can come in to alleviate this issue. But it's been a topic that we've been talking about for a long time, and hopefully there will be a solution in the future.
But it's mostly state-focused efforts, not
correct.
Nothing local.
State focus for now.
There's been efforts, you're probably aware, to try to pass legislation banning mylar balloons. Somewhere around 30-something% of wildfires related to power system infrastructure is caused by mylar balloon contact. And I think, Andy, is it just under 50%, 40-something% of our outages are mylar balloons?
Including mine 2 weeks ago.
Including yours 2 weeks ago.
Yes, your neighborhood, that's right, mylar balloons.
Yeah. And the reality is this, the mylar balloon thing started more about power outages, right? And then now it's expanded with the wildfire issues, so.
Okay. Moving on to possible consequences, it spans from, starts with service interruption, but a lot of community impact, property damage can happen. There will be impact on insurance on the department, but in severe cases, it may end up in injuries and fatalities. So we're taking all that into consideration as part of the plan. The next 2 or 3 slides talk about what portion of our infrastructure is exposed to this risk. You would see a table here. It's a summary table or power systems infrastructure within the city of Los Angeles. It covers both distribution and transmission systems. And if you take a look at the third column, which talks about the Tier 3 areas within the city of Los Angeles, you would notice that on the distribution side, our exposure in terms of infrastructure is 0.5% of our infrastructure is within Tier 3. And from a transmission perspective within the city of Los Angeles, it's 0.1%. Even less than that, that's our exposure. For Tier 2, it's about 12 to 12.5%. That's the range for distribution infrastructure. And for transmission, it's less than 1%, around 0.8%. Exclusively for fire department, a high fire risk zone, we range for distribution around 2.2%. And for transmission, it's less than 0.5%. So this is the risk profile that we have within our city limits. The next table talks about, refers to the Owens Valley service territory. There are no Tier 3 exposures within Owens Valley territory, but within the distribution system, it's around 1% average for our distribution system, and for transmission, Tier 2 is about range between 1% and 1.8%, 1.4%. So that's the average we have. The next table summarizes our Tier 2 and Tier 3 exposures This includes the two service territories and the areas that are outside our service territories. For our distribution overhead, our Tier 2 aggregated exposure is about 14%. Our Tier 3 for distribution is 0.5% of our infrastructure exposed. For transmission, Tier 2 and Tier 3 are 5.4 and 7.4% respectively. I would like to make a note that this really demonstrates that our exposure is relatively very low. Our risk profile is very low compared to other large investor-owned utilities in California. Their aggregated exposure in Tier 2 and Tier 3 is up to 65%. So the fact that we operate in an urbanized geography has a big impact on our profile.
So next question, what are we doing about it, right? Essentially, we look at how to mitigate the hazards in our wildfire threat areas, right? And we look at our PSRP program, because essentially we're doing the same thing, replacing poles, replacing wire, replacing transformers, right? The whole purpose of our PSRP is to maintain our entire system, and that's a robust, reliable, safe power system, right? We've put over $3.9 billion in the last 5 years in our PSRP program. Right, that includes over 12,871 poles, 37,000 cross arms, 4,000 transformers, and about 14.3 circuit miles of conductors. Right, that's a lot of infrastructure rebuilt. Right, roughly about 15% of that is in these wildfire areas. Right, breaking it down, it's 2,000 poles, 2,141 poles, 5,141 cross arms, nearly 500 transformers, and 5.5 miles of circuit in these high fire threat zones.
Do these areas receive some form of priority for these infrastructure improvements?
So when we look at specifically what we're doing in those areas, we do different construction in those areas, and I'm going to kind of dabble into those in the next few slides. Okay. And that's how we prioritize those areas. Our preventative strategies essentially hit 4 areas. That's our design and infrastructure, the vegetation management group, our inspection and maintenance, and that's what targets those areas separately from the other areas specific to the fires, and our operations and protocol. What we're looking at specifically is hardening our system, and you're going to hear that term all through this presentation and all through every time we talk about PSRP. It's about hardening our system, and that's that our equipment and facilities are designed and constructed to meet or exceed the typical standards, right? In these areas, we're using alternative poles, alternatives to wooden poles. Not all wooden poles are created evenly, right? We have Class 1 poles, Class 2 poles, right? What we're putting in that area is something that's more stout, more strong, to hold up to the wind loading that's involved in these areas. We're looking at using insulated conductors instead of bare conductors, reinforcing our poles, using our wind loading programs to sustain higher wind pressures. Right. Some quick examples here, wood poles versus steel poles. Not only steel poles, but ductile iron, fiberglass, depending on the area, we run through a load calculations for every pole that we put in. That's going to determine what type of pole we're putting in and what structure is needed for the wind loading in that area. Conductor sizes, our typical copper conductor being replaced by an ACSR, and that's an aluminum conductor that's steel reinforced. And that's strictly the strength of the wire itself, right? Being able to hold up to tree branches, things like that, that may fall into it. And it's essentially a stronger system that we're looking at putting in these areas. Our increased conductor spacing, 11.5 inches for our primary lines for our 4.8 system is the typical, that's the minimum standard. In our wind areas, we've been putting 20.5 inches in between our conductor, our spacing. Simon talked about conductor slap earlier. This essentially opens that area up. Moving forward, we're going to a 39-inch spacing, and that's moving this even farther out to give us a little bit more protection in the high wind areas.
How old is the state required minimum standard?
Our GO 95 requirement, I'm not, the last update, I don't know for sure.
Are they talking about changing? I mean, that would seem to be an outdated.
It is. So they do have an update on the wildfire areas on what the requirements are. So they've updated that portion of it, okay. But the requirement itself is an ongoing update.
And for the high fire risk areas that they have updated, what is that standard?
Right now, for the conductor spacing, it's
Yeah.
still 11.5 inches.
Oh, it's still.
The state hasn't increased the standard, and I
Yeah.
know that was the same standard when I was a trainee
Yeah.
a long time ago, so at least 35 years, probably closer to the 60s.
Right. But the recommendations are going wider and wider, and we've kind of exceeded that quite a bit on our end. Right.
Brian, did you describe what this
Yeah,
is?
I'll grab that on the next slide. I'm not that wired in
We
particular.
already went around, so okay, we'll pass it back. Go ahead.
Okay. So, and also our wind loading program. Like I said before, all of our wood poles, we now go through a wind loading in the fire areas at 80 miles an hour. So we're looking at a higher wind loading. Same thing, stouter poles, better materials, stronger cross arms and such. Right? That wire that got passed around, what we talked about here, we've been putting tree wire up for years. We call it tree wire. It's an insulated wire. But technology is changing. Things are a little bit updated from what we've had in the past. And that's what we're looking forward to in the future. Right. The difference between a covered wire and a bare wire, obviously a covered wire does not have the cooling capabilities as a bare wire. It doesn't have the same capacity. You need a larger wire. A larger wire is a lot more weight. A covered wire is even more weight. And that increases the amount of wind loading that we need on those poles. So it has a trickle-down effect. Changing out conductors on a pole and dead-ending conductor on a pole with a bare wire is a minimum job. It's very easy to do. It takes a very little time. On a covered conductor, right, it's obviously a lot longer. So the expense goes up when we move all these things in, but it is robust to our system, right? This is very durable. This has a lot of the capabilities that our old tree wire did not have. Right? We just procured about 6,000 feet of this particular brand. It's up in the air now. We're putting it in all over our system in the Tier 2 and Tier 3 areas.
Visibly, what's the difference between this and the standard wire? I mean, this is obviously a lot bigger diameter.
It's a lot bigger, right? And so when you look, especially in these areas where aesthetics is a big part of it, it is a lot more that's in the air and it's a lot more noticeable. It's a gray wire, tends to blend into the sky, but if you're on top of the hill looking down, you'd wish it was brown, right? So it blends in with the dirt. If you're at the bottom of the hill looking up, you'd wish it was gray. We're not going to please everybody, but moving forward, it does blend in nicely. As best we can, but it is an insulated wire. So the benefits that it's going to bring far outweigh the detriments. The one thing that does come up on this more often than not is why are we not doing underground in these systems? And what we have to look at is what's best for our system. The amount of circuit feet that we have in our underground, in our Tier 3 areas, we have 39 circuit miles, almost 1,000 circuit miles in Tier 2. Moving our system to an underground system obviously is an expense. There's also restrictions, what we can do and what we can't do. An underground system has to be out on the street. Most of our system is on property lines. The impact on customers is huge. It would require them to dig up their lawns, right, move their panels out to the front, bring everything to the street, and reroute our entire system. Just a general ballpark based on the amount of circuit feet that we have, and giving a $2,500 a foot average cost on what it would take, we're looking at over $15 billion worth of infrastructure change for Tier 2 and Tier 3 areas. The biggest impact of that is the time it would take, right? We're looking at a 50 to 60-year project. What we feel is we can mitigate this hazard more effectively and more cost-effective and have an immediate response in doing things like replace our wire with a covered wire, right? Increase our pole loading, increase our conductors, our poles, our insulators, increase our spacing. This has a much better effect moving forward to mitigate the hazard than what we're looking at for those underground costs. That being said, we're looking at all feasibilities, right? We're still going to do a feasibility study and look at those areas, right? And move forward and always take a look at what's going on. But this is the best way to move forward, right, effectively.
I'd like to go back to something that was said before. It seems counterintuitive that you're not maintaining the power poles that have been around for a long time ahead of all ahead of what may be a tragedy. And there are many Tier 2 and Tier 3 areas in the state. I don't quite understand why you're not inspecting those power poles way ahead of time to avoid any problem in the future.
So we do, and I'll jump ahead to the next slide here where we talk about specifically our inspection program. So we do a complete inspection on our poles, right, on an annual basis, right? So we have an intrusive pole inspection program plus a detailed inspection, but our circuit patrol is done on an annual basis. So we check every circuit foot that's out there on an annual basis. So our inspection and maintenance crews, they do attack every day. They're going out, writing up these poles, cross arms, and every violation that they have, and put out to our maintenance crews.
Is that tiers 2 and 3?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, the annual inspections are citywide.
Yeah.
So we do that with every pole, every circuit in the city, not just tier 2, tier 3. So that's something that we do. It's required, and we do that throughout the city.
Does that include the transmission towers that are in high-risk areas?
Yes. So our transmission also, we do a helicopter patrol 2 times per year on all of our lines. We do regular ground patrols that'll inspect and prioritize the repairs that need to be done. We have a detailed tower inspection that is every year where there's highway crossings, water crossings, or a utility crossing. And then every other tower is on a 5-year cycle, right? And that's a detailed inspection where they check everything on the tower. Moving back to the vegetation management portion of this, right? And that's our tree trimming. We maintain a database of every tree that's in our right-of-ways that's underneath our lines. We prune about 185,000 trees per year and perform annual evaluations on every tree that may contact our lines. We have certified arborists on our staff in our vegetation management group. They'll conduct extra mid-cycle inspections for trees that grow faster. Right? We track the growth of every tree, what type of tree, and where they're at in our system so we can do a positive inspection on that.
Do you notify the residents that you're about to cut down their tree?
So usually it kind of depends on the area. So the trees that are on the right-of-way, we'll go through and trim. When we go through, we need access, so we do notify the residents that we're going through there. Right? And because we do this on an annual basis, most of the trees that are under our lines, they have a good understanding of what's going on through there. Some appreciate it, some don't. But
I guess the only ones that call me are the ones that
yeah.
don't appreciate it.
They're the ones that call me also.
Well, I give them your number.
Good job.
We need to get that changed. All right. And they do. And customers call all the time. And you know, I'm not going to say we don't miss a tree every now and again. Sometimes there is no access. And customer calls are a big part of this. So when we get a customer call on something, new trees planted, sometimes a new resident's there, they'll overwater that tree, will grow faster, it'll get into our lines. There's always issues that go along, so we respond to every phone call that we have and we send our inspectors out. So removing dead trees pose a big risk also. When you look at what we do for tree trimming, for our secondary lines, you know, as long as they're not contacting the wire, right, that's the state requirement. In the fire areas, it has to be at least 18 inches. So we'll do at least 3 feet on our secondaries. On our primary lines, a 4-foot minimum requirement. Trees are not allowed to be within 4 feet of our primary lines. We'll typically trim them 8 to 12 feet away to give them some growth room coming in. Removal of dead trees, and this is the questions I'm sure you get a lot of times on the calls that you receive. You know, trees that are overhanging the lines. They'll meet the minimum requirements, but is there a hazard for trees that are falling? Trees on private property are always an issue because we don't own that tree and we've met the minimum requirements. So most of the time we'll work with the customer. If there's a dead tree, the part that's a hazard to us, we'll cut out of the way. We'll work with them to get the rest of the tree removed if that's the direction that they want to go. But our tree group is very public service oriented, right? They have no problem talking to customers and resolving all the issues that we can. The problems usually are from trees that are on private property. Specifically what we talked about when it comes to red flag days, right? We have our normal operating conditions, but when we have that red flag day, when we get that notification from the fire department, from our Office of Emergency Management, it's what we're going to do at that point. One, we're in conversations with the fire department. We have a notice that goes out to all of our crews to suspend normal work in the fire areas. So any work that has to be done in those areas due to emergency work or imminent hazards or dangers that are out there or specific for fire mitigation, right, there's special precautions that they'll go through, right? They'll clear an area around the pole. They'll make sure that they have the right firefighting materials that they have out there, fire extinguisher, shovels, right, and clearing the vegetation out. No use of chainsaws or gas-powered items that may cause a spark. So we have a protocol that we go through for that. Also, we will set our system up for the high fire or the red flag day, right? And that includes blocking reclosures, right? Blocking reclosures means our circuit under normal conditions, if there is a fault on that line, the circuit will shut itself off. In 10 seconds, it'll turn itself back on to see if that cleared. If it did not clear, it'll shut itself back off again. We will block that system in the Tier 3 areas so it does not come back on. If there's any fault on that line, we will wait until we can go visually inspect every inch of that line to make sure before we'll go ahead and close that line back in.
On this slide, you have in parens, adverse impact on health and safety of customers outweighs perceived benefits of preemptive power shutoffs. I assume you mean that's part of the balance that goes into your thinking as you were weighing what measures to take in, incident by incident in connection with any particular situation that may arise?
Right, and I'm glad you brought that up because I almost just went on and skipped that whole part of it. The preemptive power shutoffs, right, and we've all seen what happens, throughout the state and what other utilities are doing, and we chose to go a different direction because we feel, emphatically that the risks that are brought on by doing a preemptive shutoff, right, far outweigh what the issues are, right, the fire hazards. We look at everything as incident-based or condition-based. If we have an incident, so when we look back at the Saddle Ridge fire, we had an incident where a fire started, and what we do is work with the fire department and get ahead of that fire, right? If we need to shut off areas, right, to mitigate a hazard so it doesn't increase the problems to the fire that's coming through, that's when we'll do our shutoffs. So I'm not saying we don't do shutoffs, but it's incident-based or condition-based. There's a difference between a red flag day with a 35-mile-an-hour wind and with a 90-mile-an-hour wind, right? Based on the conditions that are there, we may take further steps to go ahead and protect our system and protect those areas.
Thank you.
Again, we talked about this before. It's our collaboration with the local fire department. Alert Wildfire is a network of cameras that's out there that we have access to. So it gives us some extra visibility, right? We look at some of the other areas. We have our own system that we're looking at, Anycom, that we're putting our own cameras up also. But this is a great place for us to go and look at what's out there and be able to see what the other utilities have. We have a lot of fringe areas that overlap. But there's a lot of universities that are doing studies like Alert Wildfire to give us that visibility to the system. Weather stations also, cameras that are out there. The new technologies are really what we're looking forward to coming through.
Okay, this brings us to performance metrics. How do we measure our success in the future? So the mitigation plan calls for very robust performance tracking for all the successes or all the actions that we take throughout, whenever there are conditions or incidents that may take place, and implementation of all our wildfire mitigation activities. So this would help us to really improve our system in the future. As we get more data, we will make the right decisions and make the necessary calls for investment. So one thing that will be detailed, tracked in detail will be all our outages. We're going to track our outages based on location. We'll have a database built for this. We already have this data, but we're going to structure it and normalize it in such a way that it would be good to be consumed by management and policymakers. So we'll have all locations by in Tier 2 incidents, Tier 3 incidents, fire department, risk zone, what communities were impacted, what council districts were impacted, what was the cause, and what was all the repair and recovery status will be part of the reporting. We will use our power system reliability program to actually get as much data as possible on the type of work that we do in Tier 2 and Tier 3 areas, including the fire department high-risk zone areas. And I think with more data, it will enable us to improve our wildfire mitigation plan. I think that's the plan is going to be very much dependent on what type of performance that we're going to get in the future. So this is going to be an important part of the plan. I think looking ahead, you can go.
Looking ahead, specifically, like Simon talked about this before, this is a living document. We are looking at the changes, and what's moving this forward more than anything else is that it's technology driven. Jeff Caribou came up talking about our distribution automation plan and the equipment that's going out, our communication system that's being built. And that's a key component to this plan also, is the technology, the advanced technology on our line sensors is going to give us the visibility that we need. We continuously get submissions on new technology that's going out, what PG&E is doing, what San Diego's doing, what everybody's doing. We're on top of all of that. Right? We're very forward thinking on looking at the technology, looking at the LiDAR, looking at the AnyCam, or AnyCom, but our line sensors especially, is to bring that data in on our own communication system so we can run those algorithms and find where these faults are going to go. Companies are popping up all over. Wildfire is definitely a hot topic in the western United States. And we look at all the things that are coming in, and our system protection team is pretty much right on board. Where we're looking at upgrading our systems, our Schweitzer relays that are being put in, have those capabilities to have sensitive adjustments put on them to where we can use this advanced technology to help us move forward.
Okay. One of the requirements under Senate Bill 901 is for the utilities to get a third-party evaluation of the wildfire mitigation plan. We have hired Siemens Advisian as our independent evaluator, and they have reviewed our plan, talked to our staff, and they have prepared a presentation, a very brief presentation on whether we comprehensively we met the provisions of Senate Bill 901 and what type of findings that they are recommending. I believe there is a representative from Siemens here, so if they can come up here and make their presentation.
Good morning, Commissioners. General Manager Adams. We have 2 slides today to help frame up our review. So when we typically outreach to the public, we like to enumerate the causes and the possible implications of fires. And so on the left-hand side, we've got some of the major causes of wildfires. Obviously, there's extreme weather, climate change, critical burn conditions with extremely dry vegetation. There's also vegetation contact with LADWP lines. Sometimes it's even third-party equipment failure, such as telecommunications infrastructure that's also on LADWP poles. There's also some causes with operating equipment beyond their design conditions. And there's also foreign object that comes into contact with equipment such as animals, and equipment failures due to beyond its life, also hidden failure modes and design inadequacies. And then we also, on the right-hand side, enumerate the implications of some of these wildfires. Obviously, there's injuries and fatalities. There's disruption to electric services. There's also other impacts on other infrastructure, such as water, communications. There's also damage to assets and property damage and claims. And so we've seen the effects of a lot of these claims on other utilities. There's issues with insurance, maintaining credit rating, and erosion of public relations. And so the objectives of creating these wildfire plans is to be consistent with California SB 901, all the requirements and objectives, and then minimize the probability of the electric system being a possible or contributing source of ignition. And the plan is to implement processes, procedures to help with prevention, help with mitigation, and then also have a fast recovery. And that should trickle down to planning, operations, maintenance. And so this slide represents our review at a high level. So the current plan is consistent with PUC 8387, which enumerates the completion of the wildfire plan by January 1st. It enumerates the responsibilities of execution, the objectives of the plan, the preventative strategies, the metrics, communications, vegetation management, everything that has been presented beforehand. There's also the geographic mapping of risk areas, and lastly, the independent review, which we're currently undertaking. We'll have a report completed around Q1, Q2, and we've been actively working with the department on enhancements before they need to submit to the Wildfire Advisory Board on July 1st. Some of the enhancements on the right-hand side we've been collaborating with the department, and they've been making quite a few of these enhancements already. We like to see a little bit more detail with the risk identification and prioritization. We also like to have them look at historical performance, wildfire performance, and feed that back into the current plan. We've seen some metrics and continuous feedback, but of course we'd like to have more detail. Then they've addressed quite a few things that are on the later bullet points, addressing the transmission assets, addressing the specificity around actions and targets.
So I'm curious, when you say, just based on the presentation that we've seen, you're looking for details of risk identification, potential consequences, drivers, and prioritization. I'm curious as to what more you're looking for.
So what we've seen is, we've seen prioritization. Obviously there's the maps, right? And there's the CPUC high fire threat districts that are already identified.
Mm-hmm.
But we'd also like to kind of enumerate the I guess the past performance and the past wildfires.
No,
and what have caused
I see
those.
I see the second bullet. I'm just looking at the first bullet. The only thing that I'm just curious about is sorry, it's the lawyer in me.
No,
All the words mean something.
Sure.
So I was just curious as it related to risk identification, consequences, and risk drivers in particular. Was there something missing?
I believe the current plan does cover a lot of that already. So we've been working collaboratively on some.
And then with respect to addressing transmission assets, the second to the last, I'm curious as to more specifically what you were looking for.
So some of them have been covered already with like the Pacific DC intertie that's coming through central and eastern California. And those aren't necessarily in your service territory, but they are transmission assets that are owned and operated by LADWP to help service those territories. And so they've identified those. I think there's a number of substations and generation assets that could help in being enumerated. But I believe that the current revision does take into account those high voltage transmission assets.
Okay, thank you.
Talking about drivers, I want to talk about people who drive cars. I've noticed that more and more I see people with their hand out the window with a cigarette, and they're flicking it like our roads and our highways are ashtrays, and then they toss it when they're finished. And the fire department is very conscientious about coming to all of us that live in that Tier 2 area and telling us to trim all the vegetation around our house. But is there any kind of rules or procedures or anything for people who hold their cigarettes out of the open windows? And then, I mean, that could start a fire. It's amazing to me how many people are doing that now.
Chief Perez, is there anything that the city's able to do to even address that issue? Or?
There are laws regarding the discarding of burning materials from a vehicle. The fire department really can't do anything about that. We can't pull people over with a fire engine, chase them around the freeways. But we could certainly note it, take a picture of the license plate, give it to CHP if it's on a freeway, and see if they would do something about it. But I think most police officers, short of actually observing the offense themselves, are probably not going to cite the individual. The freeway areas, we would love to see them cleared as well, just as we ask homeowners to do on city streets, but we lack the jurisdiction to tell Caltrans to clear brush on a freeway. It's state property, and as a city municipal government doesn't have the authority to tell the state what to do.
Well, I'm wondering if we can have some kind of message to the public somehow to let them know not to hold their cigarettes out the window and to dispose of them that way. I mean, I can see why somebody's doing that. They're driving, they don't want the smoke on them, and they don't want it in the car. But to hold it out when we have, chance of fires and red flag days, I mean, it's just amazing to me that people would do that, would take that kind of a chance.
Yes, ma'am. I'm not positive, but I believe we did have a public service campaign or a public safety campaign that went out years ago on mass media about that very issue. But I'm not positive of that. I think we did.
You're making me think of Smokey the Bear.
It's what?
Smokey the Bear. Only you can prevent forest fires. But the fact that I remember it means it was effective.
They're back, actually.
They're back.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Do commissioners have other questions for panelists?
I just have one question on, you mentioned planning, operations, and maintenance. In terms of maintenance, what does our backlog look like in that area, and what can we do about it?
So specifically, we do have some backlogs in that area, and a lot of the information that was put out is a little skewed, right? When we do our inspections, there's different categories of the inspection that go from very minor to where something that's just a missing high sign, to something that's a broken crossarm that's an immediate repair. So when we look at those backlogs and the amount that we have in particular different areas, what the controller's report had was for the entire system, not for the tier 2, tier 3 areas. And so in those areas, our numbers are very small on what we have as a backlog. As a whole, we do have some, we have close to 1,000 backlogs in there. Most of those are very minor infractions. So I think the information that got passed out was a little misleading. I don't have an exact number, but I can certainly pull that for you.
And just to clarify, backlog doesn't mean it's work we're not getting to. It's
Right.
just a list of work that we prioritize. And
It's part of the
we're
priority.
constantly clearing things, we're constantly adding things, and the most important work is done first. So
Yeah.
backlog is, it's our term for a list of things to do. So it's not work that's not getting addressed. There's nothing out of compliance or failing within that backlog. It's just our own laundry list of things we have to continually do day in and day out every year, every day.
But those 1,000 backlogs that you mentioned are in the tiered areas, and we are addressing those.
That's
as
in
a
our entire system,
priority,
yeah.
right?
They're
Right.
prioritized, and so each one has its own priority. How we list our priorities, 1, 2, 2A, right, depending on the area that they're in. The ones that we address, obviously, that have the highest priority are the ones that are in the fire threat areas, yeah. So they seek a different priority system than the rest of ours, so they're immediately addressed.
Thank you.
Dr. Pickle?
One brief question. On slide 35, you talked about incident tracking. We're one of the utilities that doesn't have a fully automated incident outage tracking system. Are we updating that system to become more fully automated?
We do have an outage management system. We can get a lot of data out of our current outage management system, and our incident tracking would be based on that. But we believe that we have an abundance of data that we can normalize and make available for consumption.
So you're improving the existing system?
There's an RFI out there for a replacement of that system also. So
We do have the necessary data to come up with a working performance metrics for now, but in the future, of course, we can always improve it as we bring in new technologies. I think the distribution automation program or project is going to help us a lot in the future. But yeah.
In that RFI that's out, what components relate to?
That's our whole work management system that we're looking at. So we still have a couple years left on that contract, our WMIS system. But we're looking at upgrading that whole system, right, which will help us track all of incidents.
Other questions, comments?
Only that I really appreciate the quality of the report, so thank you for that.
Ditto.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yes.
Okay, we go to 8B.
So this is the report on the Intermountain Power Project, and Andy may want to preface, we have staff coming forward to talk about this. Do want to clarify a couple things. So last board meeting, we talked about IPP and some of the things that we're looking forward to. The hydrogen has become a very interesting part of this project and has been a part of the project, but it's a little more to bring it to the light of day now where we are with that. I think my comments regarding hydrogen last time is that some of the vendors that are working on the turbine vendors have told me that they believe they may be able to burn 100% hydrogen in 2025 as opposed to the 30% that's in the project. There's a lot of pieces that have to fall in place for that to happen. The equipment has to be there. Hydrogen is burned around the world in different quantities, but it's always as a mix with natural gas. No one's burning it really straight by itself. There's NOx emissions issues that are being dealt with, particularly in Japan and in Germany. The science behind that is evolving quickly. And then, of course, there's the generation of hydrogen and working with the folks who own the properties that are adjacent to IPP and how we would be able to work on that fuel source with them. So there's a lot of moving parts here. Is it possible? It's possible. There's a lot of things that have to be lined up. But currently the project identifies a hydrogen blend going into 2025 with the goal of being 100% pure hydrogen. But being 100% by hydrogen by 2025 is it's something that people would look forward to, but there's a lot of things that would have to happen for that to take place. And we don't believe those things will materialize at that point, but it's not that we won't make every effort to try to get there. So, go ahead,
Thank
Paul.
you, Marty. Needless to say, the hydrogen prospects are extremely exciting and could position us to be in an extraordinary leadership position.
Yeah, it is a unique opportunity. If you look at reality, there's no way to get to 100% renewable energy that I can see right now without hydrogen in the mix. It just doesn't exist. There's not enough lithium in the world. There's not enough technology in the world to actually get to where we want to be without a fuel that's clean. So hopefully we're going to be leading the path to that in the future.
Hopefully. And with that in mind, welcome. Go ahead and proceed.
So good afternoon. My name is Paul Schultz. I'm the Director of External Energy Resources.
Good afternoon. My name is Lori Morrish, and I'm the IPP Project Manager.
Good afternoon. My name is Greg Quinn. I am the IPP Operating Agent Manager transitioning over to the Clean Grid LA. So right now I'm wearing, I don't say two hats, I just have one really big hat right now.
So we wanted to start with a project update, but because we have a few new commissioners, we wanted to get everybody on the same page. The current Intermountain Power Project has been operating since 1986. It is located in central Utah in a town called Delta. It's about 2 hours south of Salt Lake City. Those units are two coal units, 1,800 megawatts total. LA's share is about 1,200 megawatts. The project is not just generation, it's transmission and generation, so you don't get one without the other. We'll talk about the transmission in a second. We do have renewables interconnected already. LA has about 370 megawatts of renewables. With the rest of the participants, it's north of 400 megawatts of renewables that are coming down on the STS to Southern California. The coal plant, as you heard earlier, is scheduled to close in 2025. That coal plant was a base load facility, it's kind of a load following facility right now, following a renewable integration. So I have to commend the employees at the facility just because it's something that hadn't been done with the coal facility. Coal facilities were designed as base-loaded facilities. They're using it right now as we're using it for renewable integration.
What is the utilization rate of the plant then?
So for base load, it was over 90%. Now it's somewhere between 55 to 60%. So the current contracts, the current contract expires in 2027. We went through an 8-year period of approvals to renew those contracts. The new contracts go from 2027 to 2077, allowing us access to the facilities and the transmission lines. So this slide here is just a list of the participants. Los Angeles is a participant with 5 other California utilities and a number of Utah co-ops and municipalities. It's not something we're doing at this alone. We need consensus on everything we do. So LA can't just single-handedly mandate what's going on at the facility. LA also has a secondary role as the construction management and operating agent of the facility. The facility is owned by the Intermountain Power Agency. We're overseen by a coordinating committee, but we have the responsibilities. Lori's responsible for the project management of the renewal project. Greg is responsible for the operating of that facility. Personnel at the facility are IPSC employees under the direction of Greg. So with that, I'm going to turn it to the renewal project. And Lori?
Thank you. So first, I want to briefly talk about the necessity of the IPP renewal project. So Paul just described that the current renewable energy interconnections that are up there are benefiting LADWP, and other renewable energy resources are being planned for the area. However, we need dependable, dispatchable energy to maintain the reliability and the integrity of the STS, the Southern Transmission System. But not only that, but the units are capable of integrating with the variability of the renewable energy resources that are going to be in that area. And without the STS, we will not be able to meet LADWP's 100% renewable goals, since much of the renewables will be coming from that area. We will need the STS. So with this established renewable energy hub and generating units that are able to integrate with the variable energy, with the renewables, we will have less reliance on the in-basin natural gas plants, meaning less reliance on the Aliso Canyon storage facility. So now let me talk about the project scope. There are 2 major parts to this scope, the generation and the transmission. So in terms of the generation, we will be replacing the existing coal units with advanced class natural gas combined cycle units. So initially, the first vote was for 1,200 megawatts. We reduced that to 840 in 2018, allowing for even more availability on the STS for renewable energy. Now, I want to highlight that there are no plans to burn natural gas at IPP past 2045. So the generation scope includes balance of plant and equipment, control systems, and a whole lot of things that will support that system. So that is one large section of the scope. The other section is the transmission. And so with that, it includes replacing the 2 converter stations, one at Intermountain and one at Adelanto, and some other things that need to be done in the transmission system to support that change. So that, again, is, yes?
What is the projected utilization of the new facility, the new natural gas facility?
The projected utilization.
The capacity factor is 68%.
68%. So that's what it is right now. The current.
That's the current.
No. The current projection is 68%.
Okay.
And so the last bullet of each one of those right there just talks about the construction. In terms of our contract, we are mandated to start construction by January 1st of 2020. And according to the definition of construction in those contracts, we have already started the activities that define construction. And so we have taken care of that obligation. So the generation, the gas units, will be in place by July 1st of 2025, with the HVDC equipment in service by April of 2026, the following year.
So we talked a little about transmission, just so you understand what the project includes. It includes a northern transmission system, which allows the generation to be distributed to the Utah entities. It also allows us closer access to renewable energy in the area. And then we have the HVDC line coming down from Delta to Adelanto, 2,400 megawatt, 500 HVDC line that the converter stations are being replaced. So why is this all
Paul, will you
important?
explain the converter stations, what they do real quick?
Okay, so the converter station converts the AC electricity generated from the facility to DC. It's a 490-mile long DC line. Converting it to DC allows for a lot less lost transmission system. It is then reconverted, for lack of a better term, there are better terms, but back to AC so that we bring it in through the VIC LA into our eastern side. Okay.
What is your thought on Aliso Canyon and its future?
So, well, that's a loaded question, isn't it? I will tell you that the facility has allowed LA to operate with less reliance on Aliso Canyon. So when there are calls for issues with Aliso Canyon, we're able to use Intermountain to generate electricity and not rely on our in-basin facilities. So we can back off if there's natural gas shortages in the in-basin area, we can generate at Intermountain. So the facility at Intermountain has been very helpful in alleviating our reliance on Aliso Canyon on a day-to-day basis.
What if Aliso Canyon closed?
That's a study issue that needs to be taken care of, and I'll have to pass it to somebody else. So.
Okay.
Okay. So why Utah is so important? As you can see, Delta, Utah IPP is located in kind of a confluence of renewables. We do have geothermal in the area. There's Wyoming wind that we've started discussions with a few entities on bringing that into the Intermountain area, and then there's solar at the facility and the surrounding area. We already have 2,300 megawatts, over 2,300 megawatts of solar interconnections requested at the facility. It is a secondary path for geothermal. We have our 370 megawatts of wind already. So as you can see, it is located in kind of the perfect location to bring all sets of renewables down the STS to LA. So with that, I'm actually going to turn it to Greg to talk about the hydrogen initiative that we're looking at.
For 1 second. So could you explain the issue of keeping the DC line lit and having to have constant source of power so that it doesn't go down? How that works?
Yes, so the equipment needs constant energy.
Needs what?
Constant energy. The line commutated conversion, it does need constant energy. So therefore, the calculation was about 420 megawatts. And that's why we have the 840 for reliability to have, a backup unit. I know that there were discussions about other technologies that could possibly not need constant energy, but for the size system that we have, that technology, the voltage sourced,
So what happens if it doesn't have the 420?
Then the valves don't fire and you do not get power down the STS.
And can that come from any energy source?
It needs to be constant.
I see.
It needs to be a dispatchable
Yes, it needs to be
source.
dispatchable as well.
So,
yes.
clarification, we're not using voltage source converters?
Yes, the VSC.
We are not.
We are not.
We are
Using
going
line
to stick
commutated.
with the same type of technology that we have since the 80s, I think, right?
Yes.
And because your reasoning is the consistency? Or
Well, we conducted
Why?
studies some years ago, and we have recently looked at the studies again to make sure the decision that was made was based on sound information. And yes, the technology is the same from the 80s, but it is proven for the size, the 2,400 megawatts that we have, and if we ever want to increase the size of the STS, it is proven technology, and the voltage of the VSC technology is not proven currently for that size. The technology just does not exist right now. It is for, not for the specifications of the STS.
So
Now,
you're
if
saying the science is not there for
no,
the
not the
voltage source?
science, the actual size. In other words, the technology is there for a lower voltage class, but not for a voltage class that we're dealing with right now. And so if we were to try to do that, we would kind of be a beta, a first ever usage of this technology at our size. And the risks associated with that for such an important asset was just too much to take. We don't know
This
if
is a huge investment as
this
well.
is a huge
Hundreds
investment.
of millions of dollars.
Right,
Just for the converter
since
alone.
that is true, and since that technology isn't there yet for this size, we're not sure when it's going to be, and so we also don't have the ability to risk the time that is needed for that technology to be proven for this size in order for us to be ready for plant units that are going to be ready in July 1st of 2025.
I just want us to just make sure that it's such a huge investment that if the technology is there advancing, that could benefit us and the ratepayers and the project itself, that we should continue to explore that and try to see if we could, because I just don't want any stranded asset in the future. And I know there are multiple partners as well in this effort.
Right.
But we are a key player, so we need to lead where we could.
Okay, thank you.
Can you talk about bullet 3 a little bit more? It's a secondary path for existing geothermal projects, but really more the latter half of that line on the potential for additional geothermal. What is that potential realistically? What's in the queue, if anything? What is the sizing of what you think might be available? And how would that offset other baseload need?
So from the Nevada side and further south in the Milford area, there are some geothermal. There are small facilities, 25 to 50 megawatts.
You're talking about existing ones?
Pardon me?
Are you talking about existing ones?
They're existing ones, not necessarily under where we're pulling energy, we're taking energy from, but we have had discussions with geothermal in Nevada and south of the facility to start looking at using bringing geothermal into that location. But they are much smaller. They're much smaller facilities.
And that would be existing ones, not.
No. There would be additions to. So.
I'd be interested to learn more about that.
Okay, so I get the fun part. So in talking about, to your point, Commissioner Reyes, not having a stranded asset out there, what we're looking at IPP is making sure that we don't have that stranded asset and what we can do for the future. And as we spoke earlier, we talked about renewables, we talked about transmission. The other highlights on this slide here that I wanted to bring up was that we also have plenty of land and water that's going to be useful when we look at the green hydrogen. We also have something very unique. It's called it's a geologic formation we call a salt dome. That's going to be perfect for storage. And then, of course, we have our people, the brilliant staff that we have in Utah, the staff that we have in-house, and of course the participants that we are also working with. It's going to be very valuable as we look to the future of green hydrogen. So the green hydrogen pathway that we've developed represents the first of its kind opportunity for the Western energy grid. I'll just go through really quickly what that process is going to look like when we try to produce, we're going to produce renewable hydrogen at the site. So taking renewables and then over generation, we go into a process called electrolysis, using water to break up the water into its components, hydrogen and oxygen. Taking that hydrogen, then we store it in the salt caverns for later use, and then push it into the generators to produce electricity. So that's basically the process in which we're looking at for green hydrogen. And what's exciting here is day one of when we install these new generators, they will have the capability of burning a fuel mixture of 30% of hydrogen on the first day of commercial operations. So this is an important first step when we start to look at how to get to 100%. Starting day one, we will have at least 30% there. So in terms of storage, as I mentioned earlier, we have a one-of-a-kind geologic feature that we sit on top of. It's an underground salt formation, which is ideal for storing different types of gas. Specifically, what we're interested in is hydrogen. So the way that the geology and the structure of these formations make it an ideal place to store large quantities of hydrogen gas. And then when we look further into it, we have it's a very unique feature that is rare on this side of the country. What this allows us to do is it alleviates the risks and the challenges of transporting hydrogen as a fuel. We're fortunate to have this for many reasons. One, of course, as I mentioned earlier, the transportation challenges, but also we have a potential here for long-term storage. As we produce this fuel with the renewable energies, we can convert it into a hydrogen gas and push it into the salt caverns for storage for later use. This is a term that we've been using is seasonal shifting. As you know, batteries go for about 4 hours, 8 hours. This is something that we can start using to move seasons as we take the normally curtailed energy, change it into a fuel, and store it for later use when we have higher demand.
How long term?
What we're looking at is months. So I have a slide later on that shows the scale of the different storage capacities, but we're looking at very long term. So I'll go back real quickly. In terms of the scale of a salt cavern, this is big enough to fit the Empire State Building in it. So it's a very large structure that we're looking to put in that can store millions of barrels, 4 million barrels specifically. And what that really equates to is, I have here on the slide, more than 5,000 tons of hydrogen gas, which is equivalent to powering 200,000 hydrogen buses, 1 million fuel cell cars, and takes 14,000 tankers off the road because we don't need to transport that fuel anymore. We have it on site.
And that's per cavern? Per cavern?
That is per cavern, right. And so we have the potential at IPP to build over 100 caverns on that geologic formation. So
why is it limited to months? If you've got 100 caverns the size that you just described, it would seem to me, unless there's some chemical reason that the storage would not last longer, that it would provide even more extensive storage time than you've noted.
That is per cavern, though, right?
Right.
That's per cabin, but you multiply that by 100.
Yeah, you'll have a slide that will show a little bit more about that.
Okay.
And you are correct. With the storage capacity that we have, with the stability of the salt caverns, it could extend beyond that.
Okay.
So again, this is just to summarize the process in which we're talking about here at IPP. Taking the renewable energy from solar, wind, from the region, from Nevada, from Utah, even in California, we can ship it back up the STS. It's a bidirectional line. So if we have excess renewable energy, we can send it actually back into Utah through our STS, using that renewable energy through the process of electrolysis to create this fuel, and taking that fuel and storing it for later use through the combustion turbines.
And when you say on day one, we'd have the capacity to use 30% hydrogen.
Correct.
How do we, this may be unknowable at this time, but if the goal is 100%, how do we move from 30 to 100?
Okay, so I also have that at another slide.
Oh, okay, sorry.
So I know this is very exciting. So I'm sorry for that. But we do have a timeline that based on our overhaul schedule for the units that we can put in additional capabilities. So this is a slide that I want to take a little bit of time, and this because I think there's a lot of information here that is important on On the vertical axis here, we have the millions of tons produced of CO2 emissions. On the horizontal axis is time. So in terms of emissions, the red line shows where IPP currently is on the coal units. The dashed lines are the projections as we move away from coal. And you'll notice in 2025, when we take the coal units down, we have a significant reduction in CO2 emissions. And when we pair that with hydrogen itself, we have an even further reduction beyond that dashed blue line, which is the projection for the natural gas units. And so when we look at adding this renewable energy and renewable fuel source, we really start to pull down the emissions profile of the plant, moving beyond 2025 over to 2045, which is our goal to get to 100%. We actually remove all CO2 emissions from that site. So this is the exciting part. When we get to that point, we will have 100% renewable energy as well as zero carbon emission.
Coming from a power plant.
Coming from a dispatchable power plant. So in addition to the technology that we're looking at for the combined cycle units, we're also entertaining a pilot project through SCAPA for a compressed air energy storage system. The reason why I put this on here is because part of their proposal is that that unit can also run on 100% hydrogen. So there's a lot of potential with the combined cycle unit as well as the case units there. So this is the graph that I was mentioning earlier. This is the scale that which we're talking about. We have batteries on the lower left corner, which talks about certain amount of megawatt hours and the time duration on the vertical axis. Batteries, we're talking hours. And then as we move over to the right, we're looking at compressed air energy storage, which has a higher time duration and also a larger energy storage capability. Pump storage is also part of the plan. And then this really is to show where hydrogen falls within the energy storage potential there. And so as you can see, I mean, it's really limited to how much hydrogen you can produce and store. So we're talking months, and if it's not being used, I mean, potentially for a very long time and a large amount of energy. So we have two components here, large amounts of energy for a very long time that we can store on site.
And is the compressed air storage component wind and solar?
It can be. All of these would be powered by wind and solar. So the renewable energy really, it doesn't really matter what it is. It's just as long as you can tap into it and use it for storage.
It would all be renewable?
It would all be renewable,
Okay.
yes.
Even the pump storage, same thing. Yeah.
Okay.
What is the largest existing compressed air facility and where is it?
That is, I do not have that answer with me today, but I can find out.
Okay. What is your gut then? What has been done to date? Has something this size been?
So the compressed air energy system that's being proposed here is 160.
It's big.
It's very big. I will have to get back to you on that.
Okay.
Isn't there in Georgia or something like that?
In McIntosh, Alabama, there's a 110
Alabama, yeah.
megawatt unit. There's another one in Hanford, Germany. I don't recall the size of that one in Germany.
And how long do you have a sense?
It's been since '91 in Alabama.
So as a means of comparison, one hydrogen cavern can store 84 times what the 1,200 megawatt hour battery at Elan can store. So it's a very significant difference between the two. And this is not to say that hydrogen is a better technology than batteries. It's really to show where it all fits within the portfolio of energy storage. So in terms of our timeline, what we're looking at is 2025 is when IPP, as it stands today, is going to be retired, and when we get into the new natural gas facility in 2025. As our RPS increases, we'll have more energy to be used for creation of hydrogen gas. We are anticipating in the 2035 to 2036 area that we're going to have a major overhaul of the system. That's our first major outage, and at that point, we would be able to make the modifications necessary to get to that 100%.
Why are you characterizing the compressed air facility as a pilot?
We're characterizing it as a pilot for us. It's the first
one
step
for
we did.
us. I see.
Right. So and then the last part, the 2045, is that's when we need to get to the 100% clean energy. So as we transition over to the 100%, what else is being done in the area to help curb the emissions coming from the natural gas plant? What we have been looking at, and we've been when discussing with different vendors, is carbon capture. As we try to get from 30 to 100, there are still going to be some emissions coming out of that plant, as I showed earlier. What we're trying to do is try to minimize that emission by looking at technologies that will pull that carbon out of the air, use it, either store it or find another means of utilizing that carbon. So we're currently in discussions with different companies, talking about their different technologies and how they can help us get to that goal. We're discussing some potential pilot projects as well on our site. So some pretty exciting stuff as we move towards the clean energy future. So as you can see, we have a very unique opportunity here. In the short term, we still can maintain the dispatchability of the power plant. And in the long term, this will be a key for us to get to that clean energy, zero carbon future.
So I'd like to comment. So as Greg showed that graph of the carbon going down, go back to, so the challenge will be, what can we do to accelerate that? And a lot of it depends on industrial development from the turbine manufacturers. We know there's at least 2 manufacturers that are playing in this space that are working as fast as they can to be able to create units that'll work on 100% hydrogen. And of course, they see where the world is going and where the industry is changing. Currently, in much of Europe, they have a hydrogen blend in the gas, and so that actually goes to everyone's homes and that sort of thing. It's something like that in Southern California. Work with the gas company would enable us to help drive carbon emissions down in basin here, including at our own in-basin power plants. And so there's a lot of work there. Australia has a blend as well. So working with almost the international community at this point is everyone's trying to get to this clean energy future. We know we need a fuel that is clean to create and clean to utilize, but something that'll bridge the gap between the advantage and the cleanness of renewables and at the same time have the power reliability that we need day in and day out. And so, when we look at this at the IPP, 2 years ago, two summers ago, we had our highest demand day. It was 6,502 megawatts was our highest demand. At that point in time, we were burning 5,000 megawatts of gas and coal. And it was a hot time. It was humid out. You may recall people's air conditioning ran around the clock. Cloud cover, solar had gone down dramatically because of cloud cover, plus the fact that when it's hot, solar is not as efficient as it is when it's bright and cold out. So at that point, so we're looking at a situation where we'd have to replace 5,000 megawatts, the majority of our generation with something that's clean. At the same time, in working to try to electrify the transportation grid and electrifying, the building stock in Los Angeles and the area around here, we're looking at anywhere from 50 to 100% increase in electrical demands. And so the key is to put all these puzzle pieces together in a way that works and keeps the lights on. As Jack mentioned earlier, if we don't have reliability and we don't have the lights on, we don't have an economy, we don't have Los Angeles. And so we have to be very intentional how we do this. So this gets us as far out as we can go, as we can see, and points us in the direction to really lead to energy future. And we will do everything we can to accelerate this and to drive down the use of gas. Every project we bring on, every renewable project, every ELIND, a couple of the projects in the works, projects to increase in-city solar as well as in-city local storage, all those things mean we run gas less. And so we'll continue to drive that number down as fast as we can, but in a responsible way to make sure that we have reliability and we don't break the bank in terms of cost for the ratepayers.
Well, this is a very big deal and very exciting. There are 2 public speaker cards. I want to call on them before we open this up to questions, and then we'll have questions. So, Susie, who are the public speakers?
Francis Yang, followed by Jack Humperville.
Is Francis Yang here? Well, Jack, why don't you come up, and if Francis Yang appears before you're done, we'll call Francis.
My concern on this, while it's very exciting, the other day I heard a person very knowledgeable about the utility industry that said sometimes it's not best to be first, second, or third in this whole thing. We're talking about pie in the sky. It's not proven. You know, I don't think LA DWP should be the guinea pig for any of these types of new technologies. I think it needs to be proven and, you know, and viable and reliable and viable and cost effective. And this just scares the living hell out of me, knowing that, you know, you're going to have political decisions influencing, you know, solid engineering, which, you know, may not be a very good thing. I think the other thing, Marty, you mentioned about the 50 to 100% increase in the load because of the EVs and electrifications of the buildings. That gets one of the things that people have been talking about is rooftop solar, and on a number of occasions I've asked people in the department to give us the economics of rooftop solar. I know we looked at the rooftop solar down, you know, where we were going to rent rooftops for $30 a month. And that turned out to be, you know, 75 cents to $1 per kilowatt hour, which certainly doesn't make any sense. I've looked at solar and batteries for our house. Unfortunately or fortunately, we have too many trees. But I'd like to be able to get an understanding of the economics from the Department of Water and Power as to, you know, the viability of, let's say, residential rooftop solar. And again, on rooftop solar, we always talk about the feed-in tariffs. The ratepayers advocate sort of said that was, you know, we're going to pay 15 cents or 14.5 cents. That was 5.8 times more expensive than utility scale solar. That was going to cost us about $1 billion to $1.25 billion over the next 20 to 25 years. So I think there's a lot of things going on here, but I think we need to have a lot better numbers and analysis, in particular rooftop solar. Also, you know, what are the economics of this plan? Thank you.
Thank you, Jack. I just want to underscore Marty's comment that we all understand that reliability is sine qua non of all of this. We can't move in an arena which compromises the reliability, because however much we want 100%, and we all do, as soon as the lights go out, all of these initiatives are going to lose public support. That's a political reality. Ask Ray Davis. Having said that, it makes perfect sense to, and again, I'm not trying to engage in a debate here, but it makes perfect sense to do everything we can to explore the potentially very exciting developments that were just outlined. So,
making sure that's reasonable too.
Understand.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, if I could comment without responding to the speaker necessarily.
Marty, we're such good friends.
I'm not supposed to. But one of the things is
I wasn't intending to either.
Is that you know, as we do this and really push the commercialization of hydrogen generation. I mean, the technology exists, the science is there. Normally, this is very energy intensive and very expensive for that reason. But when the energy is free because you already have the facilities built that generate electricity, and whereas in Germany they're paying, you know, to get rid of, you know, solar during times. As a matter of fact, CalISO has turned down tens of thousands of hours of renewable energy. We have not done that yet ourselves because we have Castaic to bank that power in the form of water back in Lake Pyramid and use it again. And in the future we'll have Hoover as well to add to this. But we will continue to add renewables, and there will be times of the year, maybe not in the hottest part of the summer, but times in the fall and the spring, that we'll be able to take that generation and create a fuel. And essentially the biggest cost part of doing that won't cost us anything. And so as this becomes more commercially viable, we'll hopefully, just as we saw with solar, where solar was very expensive and solar panels are very cheap now, we'll drive that cost down. The other thing is, you know, there are a lot of pieces in the power mix, and I know we've talked a lot about the FIT program and the cost of that. Having power here under our feet, as we saw from the Saddle Ridge fire, is very different than having power hundreds of miles away in the desert. And everything has a place. And so we need to make sure that if you look through the energy crisis till now, we have beyond survived. We have prospered as Los Angeles because we have controlled our energy future. We own our own assets, and we've been able to keep the lights on regardless of what's going on around us. So we need to be able to stay in that same case, in the same position, and at the same time we've done that with the most competitive rates in California. And so we want to keep in that arena and to make sure that we act that way in the future. But there are a lot of pieces. They won't always be apples to apples cost-wise, because a megawatt hour right under your feet may be different than a megawatt hour out in the desert somewhere that has to come across miles and has other risks associated. But we will try to put all those pieces together. There's a lot of parts. It's in some of the power plans, but the plans are evolving as we speak. But there's a lot to it, and ultimately it'll aggregate into hopefully the least amount of rate impact possible. That's our goal.
Thank you.
Commissioner.
I assume we're done with comments.
I'm sorry, I won't respond.
The other public speaker was not here, Susie?
No.
Okay.
It's not present.
So Commissioner McLean-Hill.
Thank you. Yeah, I just want to piggyback a little bit on what Marty said, but I think more significantly or importantly for me, I want to thank the staff for the presentation, and also to just recognize and underscore the challenges associated with planning to meet goals, but needing to both plan, but to also be in a position to iterate as new variables come into play. What is significant, or what I enjoy, is watching Marty channel the enthusiasm of all of the participants in this process, and in particular the real both skill, expertise, professionalism, and the enthusiasm with which staff is undertaking coming to the best way to meet the goals. And I know that it is sometimes frustrating for those of us who are very focused on the outcome to have to watch, understand, and sort of manage our expectations around the process associated with getting there. But I have supreme confidence in this organization's ability to get there. And when we talk about political processes, it's certainly important from a policy perspective to set goals. And I think that our mayor and our city leadership has done a very good job of being clear about where we're going as a community, as a city, as a state, and our contribution to meeting critical goals. But it's equally important to support and to underscore the painstaking work and balance of information and processes that it takes to get from here to there. And I don't believe for a moment that our team internally does anything other than do that work with integrity and fidelity to the science. And at the same time, a commitment to reaching the goal. So I just wanted to point that out in this context. I know this has been a roller coaster ride, but appreciate not only where we are, but where we're going. So thank you.
Thank you.
Other commissioner questions or comments? Yes, Commissioner Reyes.
So thank you for the report. I still have some questions that I will be asking as a follow-up. And I do appreciate the update, because as a basic principle of good governance, the public has the right to know where we are at with a sufficient level of information for projects of this scale. And that's why I asked for the report in the first place, because we haven't had a progress report about IPP, and construction is supposed to begin next year. So therefore, we should do some proactive transparency, and there should be a mechanism for a progress report for projects of this scale, because it is the public's right to know, our ratepayers' right to know, not just on popular demand. When we hear enviros knocking on our doors, or we see the articles in the newspaper about this project with a lot of questions that are left unanswered. And second, there's also the principle of accountability. As you're working on this project, it's not just the mere responsibility of delivering the tasks, orders, the partnerships that we have with the different partners, the co-ops and the munis that we're partnering with. But we need to make sure that we also answer. If the service is not delivered on time, that we also mark the milestones and communicate that to the public in a manner that it doesn't become a burden that they ask for it. It is our right to know and demand that, because after all, this is a 1.7 billion project, right? And it also matters because after all, it impacts all of us. We're talking about reduction of emissions. We're talking about the technological advances. It's not just the region of Utah that will experience reduction in emissions. It's also overall here in California with our partners and the use of the SDS for renewable transmission of that renewable energy. So let's look at it also from the cost, because the cost of hydrogen is not as competitive yet. And so we need to be treading cautiously, because that is an investment, not just on our part, but also with our partners. We're talking about carbon capture, we're talking about green hydrogen, we're talking about the salt caverns, well and good. But in terms of the approval process, what is the role of LADWP? Are those technology or enhancements to the project included in the agreements that we have with the IPA, and is the steering committee taking a look at those? Those are some stuff that seriously you need to think about the direction that we're going, and I just want us to be very mindful of the role. And then, of course, I'm very interested as we phase in the renewables, that we phase out the gas. And that timeline is very important. We are accountable to that as we are working towards the 100% clean energy. We need to see that, and it needs to be in a clear form, and not just, oh, maybe we'll do an amendment and we'll add another 10 years, because the build out of a natural gas plant lasts the lifespan lasts for about, 30 years, I believe. That's a huge investment. We really are gonna have to look at the renewables and make sure that emissions are driven down, because we are working towards that direction, not just in the city of Los Angeles, but really regionally. If we are going to take the lead, we ought to be speaking out and making sure that the timelines that we are committing to are delivered on time. Okay. Thank you for your report.
So I just, we'll work through the general manager to make sure we provide a timely and adequate amount of updates to this board.
Well, Commissioner, would you just like to schedule, have something put on our agenda every 6 months? I mean, we could simply make that a preset, biannual update on the project, and that would take care of, I think, a lot of those issues.
Any objection?
Thank you.
Good.
Can I ask for the next one that you include some items related to the operations of other facilities of similar nature? Historical performance, safety concerns, reliability concerns, because ultimately safety, reliability, and affordability have to be paramount.
Thank you.
And then the last thing is as we move through this technology endeavor with hydrogen, we have been aware of the costs, and we have been reaching out. It hasn't been we're not looking to do this on the back of the ratepayers of Los Angeles. We have been reaching out through public and private partnerships, to the DOE. This gives us a solid opportunity. I understand the concern about being the first of its kind, but it's a unique opportunity here. As you start to look across the world and see that they're looking for dispatchable fuel, and hydrogen seems to be that choice. We think that the technology will mature, But we have the chance to hopefully be a leader in that at that level and look at some of these partnerships to start lowering the cost to the ratepayers. So we understand it's more expensive than fuel, regular methane, but the environmental impact so much greater. So we're driving to look for the proper balance of technologies and costs. So,
Dr. Pickle.
Sometimes I wish I had Marty's speaking role because I have to provide the cautions. The advantage of this site is it is a great site for a hub for renewables and storage with great existing assets in terms of transmission and transmission right-of-ways. But as Jack, who stole my favorite line, utilities race to be second, and sometimes it's better to be third. And there are a bunch of separate components of this where you don't want to be racing to be first or even second in all the components. First, there's the IPP generator. What was originally proposed was a leading, or assumed likely to happen was the leading technology GE combined cycle that's had some problems. Those problems are likely to be fixed by the time we get in, but I'm not sure that particular technology will be the best technology to burn hydrogen. So we're taking a little bit of technology risk in terms of gas turbines that can burn high levels of hydrogen. Most compressed air energy storage, or all the compressed air storage facilities that I know that are in operation, use natural gas in the expander. Here we would be substituting hydrogen. Now those expanders on compressed air systems, essentially the back half of a gas turbine, are more rugged given the service they are in, so they may be better at handling hydrogen, maybe. Second area of risk beyond generation technology is getting the high level of renewables to this site. And there is a high mortality rate for proposed renewables projects. So getting that renewable contracted in here and getting it on transmission to this location will be a challenge. But we've been working on things like that for about 40 years, so we're pretty practiced at that. In terms of transmission, if we did the latest transmission technology on this, we'd be number one. Do we want to be number one on that if we have other leading areas as well? And in terms of storage, I think here's where we may want to try to take risks. K's, we'd be building serial number 3, as far as I know, unless somebody else beats us to serial number 3. In terms of large-scale hydrogen production solely from green sources, I'm not aware of any other entity that's there, so we'd be upfront on that. For any sort of storage project, underground storage project, you always have to worry about the geology. Yes, a salt dome is one of the best, most manageable types, but if there's some cracks in that you're not aware of, it doesn't go well. And finally, we're doing a portfolio of things here. We're proposing to do this over a roughly 25-year period. Easiest way to understand the risks of 25 years forward is to look back 25 years and figure what you thought you knew 25 years ago. We're likely to see a lot of changes. People say, well, how about stranded assets for nuclear generators? Well, we've got a lot of things that could be stranded assets here. The hydrogen technology could be a stranded asset. Part of the generator could be stranded earlier because its turbine technology is not adequate for high levels of hydrogen. Kind of the benefit of gas turbines is the life for these sorts of gas turbines is not 30 years. They require major overhauls, especially in this kind of service, at least about every 10 years. with those major overhauls, you go, well, what do we do next? That's a time to make choices. So don't be afraid of stranded assets. Be mindful of the consequences. Be mindful of the trade-offs. We're in a period of very high technical change here.
Thank you for your cautionary notes.
Or stated differently, in the energy business, you don't continue drilling a dry hole. It's the fastest way to bankruptcy. So if you have something that's not working, be prepared to reconsider and move ahead other ways.
Thanks, Fred. We actually do really appreciate your cautionary notes. Thank you guys very, very much. Very interesting and I believe very exciting. So,
Thank you.
Thank you.
okay, I'm going to have to duck out at 1 o'clock for a few minutes. Let's see how much of these specific things we can get done in the next 2 minutes. Monthly reports. Financial Services Organization, September.
The September report is in your package, and I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions? Hearing none. Power System, October, and RPS, October.
Those are in your report, so we would
Any questions?
happy to answer questions.
Hearing none. Is there a motion to approve the minutes of the special board meeting of November 19th, at which I, McLean Hill, Barad, and Reyes were present?
So moved.
Second.
Excuse me.
Oh, yes, any?
I'm going to have a correction.
Okay.
So I will get that to Susie.
Okay, let's anticipate that the approval will be consistent with Commissioner Barad's correction.
Yes.
Those in favor?
Aye.
They're approved with that caveat.
Okay.
Okay, we move to the following items. And Jill, you're going to be presiding until Cynthia gets back because you have seniority. And let me just tick these off because if commissioners just want their questions answered, we can do it that way. Or if they want a presentation, we can do it that way. But item 12, from Commissioner Neiman Brady. Item 13 and 14 from Commissioner Barad. Item 16 from Commissioner Neiman Brady. Item 17 from Commissioner Barad. Item 19 from Commissioner Neiman Brady. And item 24, I believe, from Commissioner Barad. So we'll start with item 12. Commissioner Neiman Brady, do you just want to ask questions on that?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead with your questions.
Okay,
on
there are
12.
4 questions on
And
that.
I yield to you, Commissioner Barad, to chair.
Thank you.
Okay. Joe? Yeah, okay.
You're back. She's
I was
back.
gonna say, I lost my space.
She's back.
I just listed all the items, but
Okay.
you may have them.
Are you stepping
I do.
Thank you. I appreciate you answering some of these. So I'll ask all 4 questions, and then you can answer them at your discretion. One is, why was it sole source originally? And as such, since it appears to be proprietary technology, are we obligated then going forward beyond the term of this contract to continue with them? And who owns the data? And then why are the per year costs going down from the prior contract terms?
Okay, I think we keep the data, so that's the easy question we answer first. It's the systems that proprietary because the communication and the software, and iTrans the leading vendor on that. And over the years, we've been doing this since 2000, and they acquire all the other companies to provide those services. So end up, iTrans the default, and that's why we stay with them. And initially, we purchased this service from SmartSync, but they bought it by iTrans, so we end up with iTrans now.
Okay.
And the price going down, it's us because we try to negotiate it because the communication costs going down, and the bandwidths are getting bigger, and so we leverage the public communication system. And so as the wireless communication bandwidths are bigger, then we can negotiate the price down. So I don't know if we have all the questions.
It's beneficial to the department.
Yeah, no, that's
Right.
fair. I just didn't know why. So it sounds like going forward, though, we're fairly limited on alternatives.
We have to use some of this technology because over the time we will put our own network out, right? And the power system talk about they have a plan to expand our network.
Okay.
But still we need a combination of this type of public service because let's say UCLA, they only have a 1 meter. Run a wire to that meter, it's very costly. So for us, $4.20 per month service charge is much cheaper. So in some concentrated area, yes, we can phase this out. But in the remote area, probably we could still gonna use a combined solution for these. So that's how we leverage public and private so that we lower the cost. And this system bring the customer usage data every day so they can view the information on the web so they can change their operation doing energy efficiency, other operation efficiency improvements. So that's critical for our large commercial customers.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I think I heard you, but I'm not clear that I heard a response to what might be underneath the commissioner's question regarding the sole source contract. Is it, when I read this, I just assumed, because I know that we are, kind of in a transition period, so we're locked into a number of technologies which may be changing.
Right.
Once certain other pieces of our technology plan comes online. Is that the case here?
In 2016, when we put it out for bid, there were 2 vendors, but then Itron ended up acquiring the other vendor, so that's why it's a single source.
I see. So there are only there's only one vendor that provides this?
When we put it out for bid last time, we had 2 bidders, and right now there's just the one.
Interesting. Huh. Okay. And again, I just want to be clear. I understand that we had 2 bidders, and that then was reduced to 1. My other question is, what is the population at, what's the pool?
I believe it's just 1 right now.
Okay, got it. All right, then I don't think there's anything else to talk
Thank
about
you.
on that. Commissioner, do you have any other questions?
No, not at this time. Thank you. I move to
Do we
approve.
vote on it?
Yeah, I was going to say, do we have a motion to approve item 12? I heard a motion from Commissioner Brady. Any more? Is there a second? Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Item 12 passes unanimously. Next is item 13.
I have questions.
Okay. Do we have someone here to deal with item?
I can answer the questions on
Ann?
the city transfer.
Okay, perfect.
I believe we also have a speaker on that card.
Did we?
Correct.
Yes, we do. We have Jack Umperville.
Oh,
Can we have our speaker, please? Thank you, Joe.
you want to go first, Jack?
Sure.
If you could have him speak, that would be terrific.
I almost feel like I would have a seat up here. Transfer. As you know, I think the transfer is illegal because it's an illegal tax because it was not approved by the voters of the city of Los Angeles. That's currently being litigated. With regards to the transfer, there's bad news and good news. The bad news is that ratepayers are being tagged for $230 million. The good news is that is down substantially from what it was before the class action suit. If it was 8%, it would be about $320 million today. Today it's 230, so I guess we saved $90 million. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Barak?
Okay, thank you. What I'd like to know is the Power Revenue Fund. Is that the same thing as what we transfer to the city once a year?
The transfer from the Power Revenue Fund is the same thing we're requesting today.
So it's the same thing.
Can you explain the power and water funds just in terms of the company?
Within the city charter, the water, revenues derived from the water sales and the power sales have to be maintained separately. And so all the money that we generate from selling power is maintained in the power revenue fund.
Okay, and that's the money we're talking about here. So how does it compare with last year's amount?
It's about $3 million less. I believe last year we transferred $232 million, and this year we're transferring $229.9 million.
So would that figure change every year?
Yes,
It's only based on certain parts of the revenue, right?
correct.
Okay. All right, I just wondered if it was the same thing. Okay.
But that's one of the things that was Jack had referred to, is that it only affects the revenues related to
Right.
pre-Prop 26.
Okay. Okay.
Are we good?
I'm good. Thank you.
All right, may I have a motion to approve item number 13?
Motion to approve?
Second. Is there any objection?
No.
Without objection, item 13 is approved. I think we're now at 14. And that is FSO as well, so you're the presentation. Terrific. Is there a presentation that we need on this item, or are there just questions?
It's a question.
Okay.
Okay. And all right. Is this item 14, where it talks about money for the EV charger rebates? Is this related to our concerns that we expressed at our last meeting to get the rebates paid in a timely manner?
Yes, it is. From the discussions with the EV rebate charger program, they really need an additional trust fund to make these payments. So we're looking at having additional staff and creating a new trust fund so that we can make these payments more timely.
Okay, so that was my question. And then I see then that there's a relationship between item 14 and item 24, which has to do with recycling and sustainability.
I think item 24 relates to a SCAPA contract where they can get a better price on recycling refrigerators for us, so that would not be paid through these trust funds.
So it's not related?
No, this would be, the request for proposal went out through SCAPA, and they have a lower cost, I believe, than DWP can get for itself because they have multiple utilities they're going to serve, so that would not be processed through the trust fund.
All right, but we now talk about $61 million. So that's really $12 million a year.
Are you now on?
24.
But
to recycle refrigerators. And that sounds like a lot of money, $12 million a year to recycle a refrigerator.
Just as a point of order, can we stand
Yeah, I was
on
going to
item
say,
by
are we
item?
done with item 14? Because
Okay.
we've got to complete 14
Okay.
before we get to 24. So are you done with 14?
I guess so.
All right.
Yeah, so basically 14, you're just moving money from one spot to another,
Yes.
recognized by the board to keep the rebates and the
Right.
and going.
Okay.
So
right.
do I have a motion to approve item 14?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Without objection, item 14 then
Yes.
is approved. Can we go to now item 16? And,
Wasn't mine, I don't
No,
know
that's
whose.
mine. Yeah.
all right, and would you like a presentation on item 16?
I have questions on 16.
Is there someone here for 16?
There he is.
Great, thank you.
Familiar face.
And I assume we have no,
Familiar face.
we have no cards on any of this? Okay, perfect. So,
Hi there.
Commissioner?
Yeah. So according to the materials, it looks like the 2019 rates were $20.16, and the proposed rates for 2020 are $33.52. Obviously, that's a big jump. And so I recognize that you assess what that fee would be based on a whole bunch of conditions operating and loading and a bunch of conditions. But what I'm curious about is, since there's such a big jump, it suggests that when this was established for 2012 to 19, we may have gotten something wrong in the forecasting of the increase, such that we now need such a big jump. So I'm wondering, for the 2020 to 26 proposal, what is the metric that you use to determine the annual increase? And how does it compare to what other rates, what other munis charge for this type of rate? And then are we required to approve 2020 to 2026? Can we approve a smaller number of years if our forecasting confidence on the rate going forward is not high?
I can start that. On the 2020 rate, we actually used the data for 2019. We've been investing about, on average, $155 million in poles. So AB 1027 requires that you take the net book value of the poles times the space utilized by an attachment times a factor, and that's how we got to the rate for 2020. It was based on actual data. I don't believe you have to do multiple years. It was really to give the pole attachers some predictability. But in the past, what we did is we went through and looked at the actuals, and then we did about a 2% escalation, so that we know it's higher compared to the prior years, but it was just to give the attachers some predictability on their rates.
Okay.
And I think it is comparable right now to some of the other utilities that we did research on.
That's correct. Like Southern San Diego Gas and Electric, they're at like $31 for their attachments. But then you have smaller utilities, like Burbank, they're at $19. And it all depends how they're upgrading their infrastructure, how many poles they're replacing, what the value of their assets are. So that being a smaller utility, they're not replacing as many poles, and their assets aren't going up like ours are.
So, but if I heard you correctly, the 2020 figure is based on 2019 information.
Correct.
So the escalation per year is just a best estimate.
Just a 2% estimate, just a 2% escalation.
And why do you think 2% is sufficient?
It was what we used in the past. I mean, it is a significant jump for the attachers, and so we were just trying to come up with something that we thought would be comparable, that we know they're having this increase, but it's something they can plan for.
And what is 2%? Is that some other metric, or is that just a
It's the floor on how much our cost of living allowances is on our labor agreements.
Okay. The floor. Okay.
I think one of the big driving factors, too, is how much we've put into our system these last 5 years in our PSRP program. So our assets have definitely gone up a large amount, more than what we predicted originally. Moving forward, I think our escalation is going to be a little more flatlined. I don't think we're going to have that same steep increase. So the 2% is more in line with where we're going to be over the next 5 years.
Okay.
Are we good to move forward?
Yes.
May I have a motion to approve item 16?
So moved.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Without objection, item 16 is passed. Can we have item 17, please?
I just have a question.
Commissioner Berard?
All right, item 17 is the contract, and it says that it'll be increased from a little over $5 million to $13 million. And I'd like to know why the huge difference. I mean, that's a lot of difference in millions.
Okay. Bassam Abu Shakra, Manager of Power System Contracts and Specs. So this contract, we're requesting additional 2 years and adding funds for, $5.4 million. This contract is only utilized on an as-needed basis. So historically, the numbers were You know, if the board approved 3 years ago, this was approved back October 2016, and it was approved for 2.4 million per year. The average usage money is around 40 to 50%, but we ask for more money for emergency. If we have a contract like this, we have an emergency, a major catastrophe, all we have to do is issue order instead of request bids and waiting. And you know, if there's a major catastrophe in Southern California, we're not the only utility that will be requesting. So it's good to have a contract and have the funds and have very competitive pricing. So
And if there's no emergency, then what do you do with the difference?
Give you an example. Last year, the board approved 2.4 million. We only used 800,000. So it's only used on an as-needed basis. And again, these are critical piece of equipment for the daily operation of the power system. So just an example, if you go to Costco, you'll see a big piece of equipment outside. That's a transformer. Next to it is a large fuse. It's almost like your house. You got a panel with small breakers to protect the major equipment in your house. This is a large piece of fuse. Of course, it's inside the pad mount to protect the transformer, so it will be easy if there's anything happening. All you have to do is replace the fuse instead of going and replacing the transformer.
What did you do with the money you didn't need for
So in our power system budget, we have a lot of contracts that are, you know, price and time, 3-digit, and they're only utilized on an as-needed basis. So some contracts are 80%, some contract 50%, some we hit 90%. So there is a bucket of money that are used for these type of price and time contracts. And like I said, we only use on an as-needed basis. If we don't need them, we don't use them. So just
you're still not answering the question. The question is, what do you do with that money when you don't need it?
Again, the budget, let's say, has $120 million for equipment. And if you look at overall usage, it's within 5%, because some contracts we use most of it, some contracts we don't use. So, you know, so we look at the overall budget for power system, capital, O&M, we're within plus minus 5%, because it's only used on an as-needed basis.
But it comes out of a collection of, like a pool of money that could, you know, if everything went wrong at once, we'd overdraw our budget.
Right.
But it doesn't typically do that. So it comes out of a pool of money where this is one of a number of services or contracts that would pull on that as needed. We base it based on our history and our experience of how much we spend in this kind of subject matter a year. So that block of money is what it's pulled to, but it's not a straight one for one. Something will always happen that we need to work on based on our experience somewhere with that money.
There's no guarantee to the vendor to spend the money.
Yeah.
This is how the contract is structured. There's no guarantee to the vendor. It's only used on an as-needed basis.
Yeah, and if nothing got spent in that whole pool of money, then it'd be money that was left in the revenue fund.
And it would be used for the next year's budget.
Next
Right, next year's budget, right,
if you need to.
Right, we'd be either need less borrowing or less whatever.
I would like to add that this amendment is important. If we go out for a new contract, we'll pay approximately at least 15% higher cost. The impact of the U.S. government tariff on Chinese-made products and items that we actually import from overseas. There is an impact. There is a presentation that we'll make here at the end of January in 2020 on what type of impact it has on power system. There was a request from Commissioner Reyes, and we'll make that presentation at the end of January. This is one of the contracts that's impacted by that. All Chinese-made products, the prices have gone up by 25% at the tariff rate, but their competitors are raising their price by 15 or 20%, just under the 25%, and we're going to end up
But when
paying
you come back in January, then you would let us know what
the impact is, and that's what you see some
spent.
amendments here.
Okay,
yes.
what was spent, okay.
Will do, yes.
Thank you very much.
Sure.
Okay, are we good on 17?
Yes.
Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Terrific. Is there any objection to unanimous approval? So be it. We will, 17 is approved. I think we're now, we're on 17 and our chair is returned. So.
Although your chair is here for about 5 minutes, unfortunately, but let's go to 19. Commissioner Neiman Brady.
Okay, great. I have a few questions about this one. I'll just list them all and then you can take them again in any order. What makes up, are you aware of what makes up the 496 megawatts? Why the 2-year plus 2-year option? What was the rationale behind an automatic renewal option by them? 78 million over the 4 years suggests no escalation in the tariff rates. Is that correct? And why was a waiver of the deposit on the application given? And then what is the deposit now once this is executed?
I'll go with the first one. The answer to your first question is that the 2-year. I'm Ani from Transmission Planning. Good afternoon, everyone. The answer to the first question is that that's under our open access transmission tariff program, which is already set and approved by the board. I believe it was approved 2 years ago. And the term for long-term service contracts, which is this one, long-term is 2 years and above, is 2 years. And there's an automatically it gets renewed if the other party, if the party, in this case Power X, doesn't notify us that they do not need this service anymore.
I'm sorry, I'm not following you. So the term is always 2 years?
Yes.
And it is always granted an additional 2 years?
Yes.
And it is only if they do not notify you?
That's correct. And that's under the WP OCH program.
Right. So typically, if there's a need for a department to not renew, it's at the convenience of both parties.
So we could elect.
That's correct.
To deny it.
That's correct.
Okay. And then, do you know what makes up the 496 megawatts?
So that is based on their resource. So it's not ours. Could be third party.
Yeah.
So it's
But you
we're
don't
just,
know what it
we
is.
don't. This Power X's prerogative.
But it could be coal. I mean, not that size, but it could theoretically be.
Well, unfortunately, electrons just go wherever the demand is. So.
Okay.
But Power X typically deal with hydro, large hydro in the Pacific Northwest.
Pacific Northwest. So then the pricing, the 78 million, it looks like it's just doubling the 39 over the 4 years. So there's no escalation in the
That's
rates?
correct. Mm-hmm.
That's based on our oath. So we do have an open access transmission tariff process every 2 years. So we're in the middle of that process at this point.
Okay, so if it's every 2 years, at the conclusion of that 2 years, it won't.
We can make adjustments depending on what our cost of service studies is determined. Okay. And then our next year we should have sometime in the middle of the next year we'll have a public process again. So.
Okay, excellent. And then why was the waiver of deposit given?
I believe that is typical our contract. I don't have the answer. I'll get back to you on that on the waiver.
Okay.
I'll get back to you on the
and then
answer.
what is the deposit now once upon execution?
Okay, so this is based on the. Do you mind? This is our city attorney.
Good afternoon.
That's cool.
So our accounting folks asked if we could waive that, and it's a term that is allowed in our oath. And because of, if we do collect it and it doesn't get used, we would have to pay interest on it. So rather than doing that, they thought it would be much easier to just waive the fee.
And I think the interest rate that's dictated to us is higher than what we could actually earn on it in our current pooled investments.
Okay, so that makes sense. And then what is now the deposit upon execution?
I'm sorry, what's the deposit amount?
What's the deposit?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know at this point, but we'll
Can we get
again,
back to
we'll
you?
get back to you on that.
It's a formula that is used. It's based on how much they're how many megawatts they're requesting in the term. So it's, I believe, a month's worth of transmission is their deposit. It's a formula that is written into our.
Okay,
our
but that
business
won't be
practice.
waived. That will be collected.
Excuse me?
That will be collected, that deposit. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
I apologize. I'm a supervisor in training. These are all new to me.
No. You know what? It's new to me too. So.
That's right. We'll all learn together.
But we'll get that information too.
Yes. You should all be concerned when attorneys are answering questions about numbers.
And the old document, it is public. We will have a more of a comprehensive discussion with all the right SMEs here to the commission when we do have the stakeholder process.
Great, thank you. That's very helpful.
One footnote, BC Hydro's energy mix is 95% hydro.
Yeah.
But PowerX is a trading arm, and it could be anything.
It could be anything, yeah.
So are we ready for a motion on 19?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Terrific. We're unanimous on that item. Thank you. And if we could move to item 24.
Thank you.
I'd like to note that I did not ask Andy to explain that last part. So having learned my lesson the hard way.
They all thank you for that.
Hi, David.
Hello, good afternoon, Commissioners.
Okay, I just have a few questions. It says here that sound recycling of the older unit. So what is sound recycling? How do you recycle an old refrigerator? I mean, is it the frame, the motor, the parts? How is it recycled?
So what's meant by sound recycling is environmentally sound recycling. And the first and foremost of that is capturing all remaining refrigerant that might be inside the system, inside the refrigerator. That's captured in a way according to a set of protocols that allows us to capture all of it and destroy it in a way that it can't leak out in the atmosphere and cause environmental problems.
How do you destroy it?
They transform it chemically, burn it.
Ooh.
I'm not sure exactly what the process is, but it captures all the possible pollutants that come out of it. It sequesters it is the term we use. That's the first step, but then the rest of it is, as you mentioned, cutting up the metal, recycling the various pieces and the various value they might have, like the copper.
All right, and then it says recycling of eligible residential appliances. What other appliances besides a refrigerator?
Well, primarily it's been a refrigerator program, but we've been looking at adding in other measures. Enrique.
Yeah, at this point, it's refrigerators, freezers, and window air conditioning systems.
Window air conditioners?
Yes, yes, ma'am.
And they all have refrigerants, so they're broken down in a similar manner.
Okay. All right, so is there, when you recycle, let's say the refrigerator, is there economic value at that point to them? What do we get from that?
So the main economic value at that point is in the refrigerant. By capturing it according to the protocols, which we've tasked the vendor to do, we get to capture greenhouse gas offsets, which we're then able to sell.
Oh, you sell it?
By taking the refrigerant out of circulation.
Right.
Yeah.
Somebody wants to buy that?
Not the refrigerant, but the offsets. So somebody else who might be a polluter that's emitting more greenhouse gas than they're allowed to under California law can buy these offsets to balance that out.
How do you find those people?
How do you buy those? On the California market, the carbon market.
It's similar to our LCFS credits.
Yeah.
The low carbon fuel standards. It's very similar to that.
Yeah. It's almost like a mitigation bank environmentally, where you have something where you can't mitigate enough of the project, so you buy into somewhere where there's a mitigation bank to do something environmentally positive. So.
Okay.
There would also be
anything about
Victoria Black, Customer Program Management. There would also be potential economic value for the customer to get rid of an inefficient refrigerator and replace it with an Energy Star. So the economic value would be there too.
Right. Okay, and then somewhere else it said that the contract is a term of 5 years and the amount not to exceed $61 million. So that's $12 million a year for 5 years to recycle a refrigerator. Isn't that a lot of money a year to recycle refrigerators, $12 million?
Not given the amount of refrigerators we're looking to recycle and replace. The bulk of the program is dedicated to equity metric number 10, which is the refrigerator exchange program for low-income and nonprofit customers. About 90%, almost 90% of the overall budget is dedicated to that program. A much smaller piece goes to the actual recycling portion of it. So the bulk of it is giving the low-income customers a new Energy Star refrigerator. To Tori's point, the benefit to that, which is tremendous, and we got to build this up, is $8 a month the average customer will save. Well, that's almost $100 a year, and across a 10-year lifetime of the refrigerator, that's $1,000. 60,000 refrigerators, that's $60 million that's been put back into those low-income and nonprofit budgets over the course of those 10 years.
And if they're not low income, but they have an old refrigerator?
They have to be eligible for the program.
Oh, they have to be eligible for the low income
Yeah,
program?
they're care customers.
Pardon me?
Lifeline.
Well, it has to do with the exchange aspect of it. There's two components. One is the low-income customer, and then we also have an exchange program as part of this contract. So the $61 million you're looking at for the 5 years, which you are correct, breaks down to $12 million. We average about 400 units that have been exchanged per year. We're looking to increase that, and as you asked before, there are other things that are eligible. If we expanded it to window ACs or microwaves, we're trying to perpetuate the most cost savings on an efficient basis. So when we look at the dollar savings, it could be huge. We also are looking at just individuals who would just want to have their refrigerator recycled. Somebody that's not in a low-income category, but that would leave it out at the doorstep and would wait for either bulky item to pick it up or just for it to stay there for months. We're interested in trying to be a resource for those customers as well.
Yeah, so again, the exchange for a new refrigerator for a low-income customer is 90% of the program. When we take out an old refrigerator, that gets recycled. And that can be a low-income customer's refrigerator. The other component Tori explained is if you have a refrigerator, a second refrigerator in your garage, and you realize it's costing you $1,000 a year to keep 2 six-packs of beer cold, and you want us to pick it up, we will, and then recycle it properly.
With the beer, huh?
Yeah.
All right.
Can I just comment? So, and look at the power of future, one of the huge components is to reduce demand and to control demands. And so we have a significant amount of investment, and we've been increasing the investment considerably last year in the budget. And so this
we have a conservation budget. I think it's $200 million a year we do on conservation.
Right.
So this is the one piece of it.
Yes, yeah, exactly. So this is one part of all the number of efforts we do. And of course, this one has a direct customer benefit because it helps people with their actual electric bills as well.
Right.
So is there a motion?
I have a few questions.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Commissioner.
Yes, Commissioner.
All right, so have you addressed the barrier regarding customers who don't have grounded outlets required for the installation of these refrigerators? And who should we partner with, and how will we encourage those who failed to get their refrigerators due to this issue in the past?
So that has been an issue with the program. We don't do electrical work on site. If a customer's outlet isn't grounded, these are not IBW. They're not trades. They're not going in there and grounding an outlet that's not grounded. In the past, we have told them, well, ground it and call us when it's been fixed. We've been moving, however, to fix that by partnering with, I believe it's the city's 311.
It's only a referral opportunity.
It's a referral, and so it's not perfect yet, but at least we have an ability to refer the customer to someone, a resource within the city in another area that will help them get that outlet grounded, and then we can come back in and install the refrigerator.
I think that's a very important barrier to overcome, especially if we're targeting our low-income customers for energy efficiency in terms of exchanging their old refrigerators.
Yeah, part of that would be assessing the risk. If we were to participate in replacement, that's why it's a referral. So the customer, they may not have the means, but it might be an opportunity to partner with a community-based organization, something of that nature.
That's ultimately where we want to take it. Like I said, we can't do the electrical work through the contractor. If we outsource any electrical work, it's always trades. But we can certainly do a better job of getting the customer connected to a resource that can do that work and then get them reconnected back into the program. And we've been moving in that direction with partnering with the city for that referral. But I think community-based organizations are the next best step to carry that forward.
Okay. So I would like to see who we partner with so that we overcome that barrier. This is a huge investment, $61 million over 5 years, right? So if we are going to give out those refrigerators and people are eligible, but they can't accept or install the refrigerators because they don't have a grounded outlet, especially because they live in older homes.
Yeah.
That's a barrier we need to address.
Yeah, it's a huge. We found, because we've looked at the housing stock, it's a huge problem with the 1920s, the 1930s homes and apartment buildings. Starting in the 50s, most things were grounded after that, so it's less of an issue there. But it is definitely an issue for the folks in the older housing stock.
Well, is it possible for you to come back to the commission in a relatively short time frame with a report on how that particular issue impacts the ability to scale the program? And I think to Commissioner Reyes's point, I mean, to the extent that you're talking about equity and targeting our equity metrics, it becomes really clear to identify those things that will create a class of customers that don't have the opportunity to participate and to prioritize developing a workable system to allow this problem to be overcome. I think I'm hearing you say that you understand it's there and it's something we need to get to. I think what we'd like to know as a part of this program rolling out is what is the scale, what's the plan, and and there be some process by which we can follow your progress with respect to a solution.
Yeah,
when we've turned a customer away who hasn't had the grounded outlet, and we ask them to address the issue, we have now gone back with the same vendor to follow up with that customer to re-engage them. But to your point, we could explore and we can report back what the feasibility of that would be. If we go back to those customers who haven't been able to establish a relationship or don't have the means to rewire, we could look at that and come back.
Yeah, we've been doing the program since 2011. This is an envisioned scale-up of the program to make it larger, substantially larger. So we have a robust data set already of participating customers. We'll go back and mine that to see what decline rate has been due to the grounded outlet issue, and then we can decide what's the best way to fix that going forward. But we're happy to report that back to the board as soon as possible.
Yeah, that would be helpful, and I think that what we're looking for is sort of a systems approach with there being a priority assigned to figuring out whether it's working with third-party nonprofits or what would be the ideal way of addressing this particular challenge that creates a gap potentially in the market for those customers that we're trying to reach.
And then lastly, I'm also curious if this program has a written marketing plan, because the success of this program will really rely on effective outreach, education, how do we market this program, especially if we're expanding it to include other appliances. If the program does not have a marketing plan, which I think it did not, can a marketing plan be jointly developed with you, our marketing folks, and our stakeholders? So if you could submit a separate marketing plan just so we could see how we're going to use the $61 million and how will it reach the folks that we are targeting to take advantage of this program. So I would appreciate that.
Okay, and is there a buy-win associated with that, Commissioner?
Next month.
Does next month work for you?
I'm sorry?
The commissioners asked for a marketing plan associated with this particular program.
Yes, I'm sorry, absolutely. We're happy to prepare that. We can give a status update on that as we report back on the outlet issue. We can have the outlet issue numbers pretty quickly, and then we can get you a status on the marketing plan. We'll first see what we've got going already and report back on
Wonderful.
that.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
With that,
Thank
are we
you.
comfortable moving forward?
I am.
All right.
So move.
We have a motion to move forward.
I second.
Item 24 has been moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Without objection, item 24 is passed. I understand before moving into closed session that we have a speaker on one of the items. Is that correct?
Yes, item 25, Jack Humperville.
Oh.
I don't think he's here. Did we do 5 items? We did 5 items, yeah. I saw Jack figure that.
Oh, okay. So Jack is, that speaker is
What was
no
the
longer
item?
here. It was 25.
Closed session. So with no speaker and no items remaining at this point, we will recess into closed session to address the items on item 25 of the agenda. And in accordance with California Government Code Section 54957.1, we will report any final actions taken therein. We are in recess.
You can say what Jack is doing.